so thankful that all of you are here today to meet with us, and I'm so thankful that we have so many people that have come up with me to meet with you all. I'd like to go through introductions if we could, just so that everybody knows who's at the table. But I want to start. Scott, I guess you start, and then we'll go to Penny from Congressman Gosar's office.
Okay. I'm Scott Moultrie. I'm the Development Services Director for Mohave County.
I'm Penny Pugh. I'm Congressman Gosar's District Director, and love being here. And thanks for coming out this morning.
My name is Lydia Durst. I'm your Mohave County Recorder. Thank you everyone for coming. This is a great turnout.
And good morning. I'm Lieutenant Dave Coffin. I'm from Kingman. I'm the Detective Commander. The sheriff couldn't make it today, unfortunately. Sends his best to everybody. He had a previous obligation, and I happily volunteered to come down in this place.
I'm Jeannie Kent, your Mohave County Assessor.
Michael Smith, Director of Community Service for Mohave County.
Good morning, Steve Latowski, Public Works Director. Thanks for coming up this morning.
Good morning, Melissa Palmer, Public Health Director.
Great. And do we have Kendra Thomas?
Yes, I'm right here. I'm Kendra Thomas with the Arizona Strip BLM.
Thank you for being here today with us.
And then we have Lorraine.
Lorraine Christian, I'm the field manager for the Arizona Strip Field Office.
Thank you for being here with us today. Anybody else here today that we haven't? Natalie, you want to?
Hi, I'm Natalie Collins. I'm the Chief Deputy Recorder.
Great. Anybody else that we missed?
I have somebody back there.
Danny Ladonna, Special Programs Analyst for Mohave.
Thank you, Danny. Appreciate you being here today. So yeah, terrific group. I think we had everybody here to answer basically any question that you could have for Mohave County. So I'm very thankful for that, and what's going on back in DC as well. So really, I just want to say thank you. This is my 5th year as the District 1 Supervisor, and I think the District 1 is the best district. It's the most beautiful district. Together, we've done a few things together up in this area. We've got the roadway that had been just in horrible condition. We got that road paved in partnership with you. And that,
Maintenance system.
and then it's in the maintenance system now. So, I mean, that was incredible. We got, I don't know how you feel about this, but through a petition drive, we got through the board of supervisors that this stretch of the Interstate 15 is now part of the scenic byway, which eliminates any future billboards. So no more billboards. Because I recognize the beauty of this area. I mean, it's one of the things that makes this area special is just the natural beauty. And I personally feel, I don't know how everybody else feels, but billboards are kind of blight. You get too many of those things, it kind of messes up the natural landscape. So I'm glad that we got those.
Truck stops.
Yeah, well, there's some truck stops. There's some truck stops coming in because I mean this area is special. When you look at the proximity of like 3 states and the beauty of it, I mean there's going to be development here. I mean it's inevitable. It's just how do we manage it. So with that, I just want to say thank you again. I have a brief agenda. They're over on the table there, but we're going to go through and I'm going to let everybody speak that came. I'm going to start with BLM. If you guys have any updates, yeah.
Are we doing a pledge?
We certainly can do a pledge. Would you like to do this?
Yes. Oh, sure. Please join me. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I'll turn it over to the BLM, and they can have the floor, and then after that, we did have, hope to have Senator Amos from legislative security, but she wasn't able to join us, so we'll go to that.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming today. My name is Kendra Thomas. Like I mentioned, I'm a road lease specialist for the Arizona Strip District in St. George, but we manage 3 million acres in northwestern Arizona. So what I wanted to talk to you guys today, hopefully you guys are familiar with Front Street, Jones Flat subdivision. There's a right-of-way that was issued in 1996 for that right-of-way. It was 12.5 feet. Around 2013, a local resident contacted the BLM about upgrading it and widening it. He was sent a letter about abandoning the right-of-way and an assignment needed to occur to obtain legal access. Then in 2017, Mohave County was assigned the right-of-way, and the BLM received an email from a resident where he support of the road widening with a few opposed. Then in 2017-18, an environmental assessment was completed and a decision to authorize an amendment to the existing right-of-way was issued, and the amended Mohave County right-of-way grant was issued to authorize widening the road from 12.5 feet to 50 feet wide. Along with the right-of-way grant amendment to widen Front Street, the BLM approved moving the property boundary fence south 50 feet, including installing tortoise fencing to keep tortoises off the roadway. Consultation with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service was required because the strip of BLM land is in desert tortoise habitat. So in conclusion, residents along Front Street wanted the road widened for safety purposes, but no road widening has yet occurred. Instead, a newly created Dirt 2 track is now present, and this was not the purpose of the amended right-of-way grant. This current situation is unacceptable, so we need to either have the proposed Front Street widening occur or discuss the termination and reclamation of the right-of-way to include moving that fence back to its original location. And I put some pictures of the before and after of what the road looked like. This was in 2016. You can see that the road's very narrow, and we did have, like I said, complaints about safety, school buses, pedestrians walking. It was a pretty sharp turn right there, but now the current state of it is the fence has been moved, but there's just a Dirt 2 track that ATVers and UTVers are driving down, probably at fast speeds. I obviously don't live in the subdivision, but we're wanting to see, you know, within 30 days, we would want to hear from the residents on, is this work gonna continue? Are you gonna proceed with widening and paving the road to the county standards, or move the fence back to the original? So,
My name is David Oppenau.
okay.
I started that in 2013. A lot of people around here knows that. And we got no action from anybody, including you guys.
Well, we issued a right-of-way to widen it, and
Yeah, I paid for it.
yeah. Well, the county actually holds the right-of-way, so.
I know, I got them to take it over.
But the actual paving and widening of the road, it says in the right-of-way grant, will be done by the residents, and then the county will adopt the right-of-way and put into their maintenance system once that's done. So it's up to the residents to widen it and pave it to their standards.
Okay, therein lies the problem. David Oppenau moved from that area in 2017. So who's gonna take it over again?
How much would something like that cost?
I cannot give you that answer.
I think, Public Works Director Steve Otoski, you're probably gonna address this issue as well. is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And if I can just speak up and say one thing, the main reason why, and maybe we talk about this periodically with Mr. Latowski, and it's like, we need to know what to do about it, because it's been issued for 6 years and nothing's happened on it. And so it was suggested that we bring it up at this meeting so that we can get all your input, because, you know, we're waiting for you, I know what you're saying, we just need to get something resolved on it, so I think this is a perfect forum to talk about it and try and figure what we're gonna do to move forward.
Some resident needs to step up, is what they're asking for, that lives on Jones Flat.
Or a group of residents to get together and do it. It's a big expense for one person, you know, you're probably gonna have to organize and cooperate with each other to make it happen.
Yeah.
We went around door to door back, a few years ago, asking for people that donate money for the widening of the road. And it was like pulling teeth. We had no success at all. Finally, Dave and I, we've been working on that road for years to help keep it maintained. Finally, I moved because I could see it wasn't going anywhere. David moved. There's several other people that have moved just because you can't get to your homes safely. That road has been a mess, and it's getting worse. It gets worse every day.
So I guess that's why we wanted to bring it up, is like, if no one's gonna step up and do it, then we need to move the fence back, and it's gonna stay as is.
Why move the fence back?
Give us in email writing, tell us, here's our plan, we're gonna start making progress on it in the next 30 to 60 days on what.
all those holes on Front Street. It's not a paving, it's a patch. And today, it looks just as bad as it did last year. I got no help. I'm out there by myself every damn day. Most of the residents could care less. A few of them said, I'm from here, it's $20. I bought the material with my discount at Lowe's. I drove up there with my pickup and trailer, picked it up, did everything, no cost to the community. And maybe 10 people said thanks, everybody else was not even slow down. I mean, you took your life in your hands. But the thing is, unless we have an assessment district, none of those roads are gonna get there. Thank you for getting Virgin Acres Boulevard, that was a start. But now we're stuck at a place that I think it was subdivided in 1929 or 1930, correct me if I'm wrong. And from that point on, nothing has happened. Which also, you know, that takes care of you. You've done this, and you come to us and say, okay, 5 of us want to donate. Donate to what? Just get it graded off. Everybody else can come roaring down that dirt strip, or coming down like a bat out of hell on what pavement is left. So squeezed over to the side.
Did we address this in the master plan rather than piecemeal each person here? Just talking about all these projects, why don't we have access to the master plan, where we're going with this, and who is doing what? And then as a community, we can then respond. But if you guys just handle, you know, this project, it isn't gonna work unless you guys agree. This is our master plan, this is the developers that are coming in, this is where we see Jones Flat and 91 going. I mean, the roads are deteriorating now, we've got more population, we're walking these streets and there is no shoulder anymore, there are no walking paths. None of this stuff is working together. We wanna see the master plan and then an update to that every year.
Yeah, it's a good point, and it's timely because the county is just about to refresh its 10-year general plan. It's coming in front of the board sometime later this year, right? Including the sub-area plan for up here, is that correct?
Yeah, so the general plan, we came and had a meeting with everybody here. I think I see a lot of familiar faces a few months ago about the general plan. That mostly deals with the land uses and land designations. We do have goals and policies in that general plan set forth for infrastructure as well. I think, I don't know, Steve, do you guys have a master plan for the roadways as well? No?
Well, we have a 5-year capital improvement road program that's designed specifically for the county maintained road network. So if I can jump in, got a couple of solutions for you, okay? Let me make 2 statements that we all know about already. First statement is, we've had a standing petition since 2006, and this petition doesn't expire, that the public initiated a request for road maintenance petition for Front Street, all the way back to 2006, almost 20 years ago. And the way the petition process works is the public, at their discretion and at their time, can bring a road up to the county maintenance standards for future consideration and acceptance by the Board of Supervisors. Now, this was filed for Front Street back in 2006. So I believe, you know, what Mr. Appleman had commented, there was sort of a piggyback on that, starting in 2013, culminating in 2017 with the right-of-way assignment. The right-of-way assignment actually enabled a width of right-of-way for a future development of a roadway that would actually meet the minimum right-of-way requirements for the county. There's a little bit of a catch here now, but I'm speaking now present day. Present day, there is a break in that right-of-way. It's a few hundred feet from Virgin Acres Road on Westward. And what happens is it's the end of the BLM land and the beginning of the private land, the large swath of private land that the public would have to approach that private property owner for an additional dedication of right-of-way to make the actual connection to Virgin Acres Road. So that could be accomplished, as well as the improvement of the roadway, what's called a county improvement district. I'm working on one right now. There's one actually underway. In fact, we'll be taking to the Board of Supervisors for consideration of a resolution, what we call a resolution of intention to actually build the roadway. It's way down in Fort Mohave, but nonetheless, I bring it up because it's an active road improvement district. We had the public, who, was tired of dirt roads and, they wanted to pave their roadways. And what they did is they formed an improvement district. In this case, it was largely an improvement district of the properties that fronted the roadways that were gonna be improved. They wanted to go from dirt to paved. But in your case, an improvement district can be as large as you want it to be. You draw it out, and you maybe wanna even consider capturing all of the properties in Jones Flat that would use Front Street for ingress and egress. You have to obtain 51% or more of signatures, and you can petition to not only form the district, but then petition to incur an expense to improve the roadway. And my department handles it. If you were to go that direction, the process then would be, if the board would approve forming that district and accepting your petition, then the county would solicit, and when I say solicit, meaning we would go out and, on behalf of the district, and hire a consulting engineer. That individual or firm would be the district engineer. They would design the roadway improvements, they would assign a cost to it. So, let's not talk about estimated costs or hypotheticals right now. The district engineer, as part of that design process, would actually give you a really good firm hard cost. We would go back to the board, that's actually where this other improvement district is at right now. We got a firm cost. They wanna do road improvements to the extent of about $500,000, and we're gonna take it to the board and, give the, district, property owners an opportunity to speak for or against. But at that point, the board decides we are going to resolve to go forward with this construction project. The county would then put it out to bid, and it would have to be a publicly bid project, so contractors from around the area would have a chance to bid on it. And then ultimately bids are received, and the, project, would then be considered for award, and if awarded, I'm gonna jump all the way to the end, then there would be an assessment. And we would know what that assessment would be based on the engineer's estimate, an assessment on all of the lots. And chances are, it may be something as small as being able to be absorbed by a one-time cost, but otherwise we could bond for the improvements up to 10 years, and you would see an assessment on your, treasurer tax bill over the course of that 10-year period if you chose not to pay it off at once. That's one solution. That's one solution to still move forward with keeping the right-of-way in place, knowing that you would have to still acquire a short section of, right-of-way from that large private property owner that is bisected by Virgin Acres Boulevard. The other solution is this. The other solution is to allow the, right-of-way to be extinguished or dissolved and then pulled back. And this is another example of, we have these in Mohave County. It's called a road maintenance district. And we have one, for example, outside of, Kingman, formed in 2009. A group of property owners created an improvement district. Same process, the county improvement district gets 51% of the support. And what they do is, they're governed by their own board. It's their own board of property owners. And the road maintenance district enables that board to, procure, road maintenance services, very similar to what this gentleman, described. It could be just pothole patching on a regular basis, or it actually could be something more like a chip seal, or even more of a little bit more robust reconstruction of what's out there today. I'm pretty much just speaking of just maintaining what's out there today. It's not, the county has nothing to do with it because it's not in the county road maintenance system. So the own private board of property owners themselves, determine how much maintenance they wish to do. But what happens is then you can actually work with the treasurer's office and put that as an annual assessment on the tax bill. I took a peek at, one of the, before I came up to this meeting, I took a peek at what one of the, property owners, and again, this is a poor example because I believe they're just doing like, gravel road maintenance and, paved road, but I think they're paying like $45 a property per year. Again, don't take that as like, that's what's gonna be your estimate, but it's a unique mechanism that works really well for that group of property owners, because the road is still not maintained by the county, but they do a good job amongst themselves in spreading out the cost for maintenance. So that could be another, option, but then you just be working with what you have today. Yes, sir.
Two problems. Number one, talk about Virgin Acres Boulevard, that was paved, and many of us were told that the county would take that over once that was paved.
And we did.
So Virgin Acres Boulevard is maintained by
It's
the
in the
county.
county maintenance system for Rincon up to Front Street, correct?
So everybody understands that.
Yes.
they don't have to worry about Virgin Acres Boulevard.
Public Works put that road.
Got done a couple years ago.
Did a great job. Now,
Thank you.
problem number two, we're being threatened with removing the fence. That's a no-go. You remove it and there'll be somebody tear it down. There's gotta be wider than that road. I seen a propane gas truck try to back up on Front Street, put the fence, one part of the barbed wire, when there's barbed wire, and he probably drug that thing 100 yards before he realized it had been going up fence. With the old, where it was, the old fence. It's gonna be stay where it's at right now, and somebody needs to figure that out.
I think one of the major problems we have is that since this is a private development, the roads were never dedicated to the town of Mohave, they're private roads. The consequently, trying to get anyone together to do anything, some pulling teeth, who owns what, and what have you. So if we do get resolved on Front Street, that's doing nothing but put lipstick on a pig, because now the other roads are just basically the same, they're just, if there's even pavement or even crushed gravel on them, nothing. So we're all, it's kind of a damn if we do and damn if we don't. I mean, we try to collect, try to have the meetings, what have you. It's the same people show up, the 10%, and the other 90% kick back and say, it's your problem. And we'll use it and we'll destroy it. That's the way it goes.
And that's what's happening. So if it's already been designated as county property, how come you're threatening us to move the fence?
It's not county property. It's BLM, and it was a right of way that was issued for a specific purpose, which was for the road to be widened, and it's not
Well,
held.
you'd be stupid to move that fence back to the road.
Well, if the road doesn't get improved the way it's supposed to be, we would love to have the road put in the way it was supposed to be, but nothing's been happening on it, and it's been issued for 6 years, and there's been no progress.
I don't
And
care
what you're saying
anymore,
about the
but you're
issues.
gonna have a problem if you move that fence. Or
Well,
you
do
better figure
you
something out.
agree that it's in compliance with what's happening right now? I mean, people are just driving ATVs and UTVs on it, and using it as a speedway.
But we have a little problem. It is that section of Virgin Acres Boulevard on Front Street is owned by someone else does not wanna play ball. No, we're not gonna give that up. Now you've got your extension to your fence, it comes down, and then they have to come back over on the 12-foot and go around, but instead, they're just going right down through it.
And half the time, the dirt road is better taken than on TFA or Front Street.
We worked quite a while with trying to get, that resolved with the owner of that stretch of property. And we had it all resolved, but then the county came back and said they needed like 5 more feet. He said, okay, but I don't know exactly what the footage was. He said, okay, I'll do that, only if the county will, trade me a little bit of property at the other end of the road. And I don't know exactly where it was at. And the county said no. He said, forget it, I'm not gonna give you any right of way.
So
the
basically, you
county
guys
went- so
can't
somebody
move
went work on
forward
it. What's
because
that?
you can't move forward on widening the road because there's another private
Right,
landowner
uh-huh.
involved.
There is
Yes.
where the BLM, the section line is, where the BLM, private section line is, there's about 300 feet to Virgin Acres Boulevard that does cross private lands.
Jack Riley promised.
Yeah, that's, thank you.
And we had it worked out with him where he was gonna owe it, but then finally he said, hell with it. I'm not gonna give you any right of way now. And so that's when we saw the writing on the wall, and a lot of us, when we tried, like heck, to try to, David especially.
I'm
for
sorry,
years.
sir, I wish I was part of
Yeah.
that conversation. I wasn't part of it. I
Yeah.
should have been, and I wish I was.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
anyway,
remember
that happened,
that circumstance.
quite a number of years ago, and since then, you know, we left, and a lot of other people left, and we repaired that, a lot of us repaired that road, but now a lot of those people are, some of them have passed away that helped with the road, and the ones that haven't passed away, most of them are in our 70s and 80s. We just couldn't do it anymore.
I guess I'll offer, if you want to keep the right of way in place, I'll offer 2 solutions. One of which would be the county improvement district that I spoke of. The community showed a demonstrate a commitment by one forming that improvement district and the petition to occur, basically they go and get 51% signatures within 6 months, what have you. I've seen it done literally within a couple of weeks. I think they basically just have a community picnic and they get all their signatures, but if that demonstrates to the satisfaction of BLM the commitment, then certainly my office, can work with you. It would all be at, the district's cost. We would hire a district engineer and go through that process, but that would be one solution. Otherwise, and I know this, this is a right of way that crosses federal lands. It's federal land, and what happens is the right of way assignment, that's the key term, assignment, was made for a specific purpose, and the purpose was written out to be a paved roadway. So whether or not there'd be an acceptance of a lesser standard being just a gravel roadway, that would lessen the cost for the community. Right, but you would bring it up to just a gravel standard, not a paved standard with lessen the cost. But again, that would be.
We got a two-headed snake. You got people who, full-time residents on Jones Flat, 50% are snowbirds, who won't do anything.
But again, you just need 51%, and the other 49% have to go along with it then, unless the board, would consider, it would be up to the board's decision then. You're just gonna get the decision with 51% to the board.
I understand exactly what you're talking about. I think I can write the policy what the county is. What is needed is someone from Jones Flat to step up and
We'd
lead
like
the
it too.
charge.
And
Other than Jones
I will say
Flat.
that my office will prepare the petition, all the documentation, but we can't collect the signatures. So we can do all the paperwork, but we just need the community, we need a leader to collect the signatures.
So you need signatures to prepare the vote?
51%.
From the property owners within the district that would desire to be formed.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's not something that you guys just come and do like
Those
you do
roads
other
that are
cities.
not within the.
That's
To
right.
make it improvement.
That's
What
right.
the disconnect is.
Because then people
I have a
come
question,
back.
Steve, who's, I have a question. Who sets the standard for the road, bringing up to the road? Is the county the one that sets the standard on the road, or is it the BLM?
No, the county adopts the standard in terms of
Okay.
what the roadway prism looks like.
One more thing. Everybody needs to understand that every resident that lives on Jones Flat has to drive on Front Street. Every single one of them.
Very good.
When you get the petition going, the property owners are the only ones that can vote, right?
Yes, and in fact, we are even involved with the
If they're renting it to somebody or something like that, that
It has to be the property
It
owner.
has to be a property owner.
They're the ones that
The
are gonna
property
need the
owner
steps.
is just renting out a piece, you can't get no piece.
That's right.
Okay, does each property owner have the same amount of say-so in their vote, or do they buy the acreage that you have?
That's a very good question, and it can actually vary from either the frontage of the roadway, or in this case, you're probably looking at lots that aren't necessarily on Front Street, but use Front Street. So it would probably be looking more at the acreage of the property.
So their vote is screwed,
Yeah, skewed.
skewed by the amount of acreage they own.
Correct.
Okay, so if you have somebody out there that owns half the acreage, they can petition you, and it would start.
We can look at it in that context.
Well, I mean, but that would be 51%.
It's possible. I would want to take a look at it from just, because everything is governed by state law. There's actually Title 48 is the state law that governs this whole process, so. I won't get that deep into the discussion, but it's possible.
Well, if you're gonna get petitions, you need to understand that.
I understand.
And if they don't understand that, they go out and get a whole bunch of damn petitions from people that are just renting out there. That's not gonna do them a damn bit of good.
But see, here's the problem we have. I just have my two properties surveyed. The problem is with this, I have Rosenberg down on St. George, good friend. Now, the depth of there is cheap. He said, John, I've never seen a bigger piece of crap. Jones Flat, he said, you've got lines going all over. He said, I'm glad you're here because you're trying to get yours corrected, to make sure it's not just the old, ball and chain. He said, the way they chop that up is they subdivide it, it's just a correct. So somebody only has a half acre, therein lies the problem.
That's right. And that's what you gotta understand when you get up to state. So does this 51%, it wouldn't affect the holdout guy that doesn't wanna let him through?
It all depends on how the improvement district is drawn up. My staff can facilitate working with whoever will be the lead applicant to draw up an improvement district and the properties that could be included, as well as my staff would establish.
I'm saying there's a holdout on the road, there's a guy that doesn't wanna give the easement on the private road. Would 51% overrule his private land?
The problem with that is, you would be looking to try to get I assume you'd be looking to try to get a connection to Virgin Acres Boulevard. That is absolutely crucial for the county to take it into maintenance in the future. We have to have that connection, so.
So it wouldn't affect, like, you can't overvote can't eminent domain, his right of way or something, or does he have to agree? And the 51% don't matter?
I think that's a bigger question. It's a very important question, but it's a bigger question I think we'd have to look at offline with regard to how that.
I've got 3 other properties I can't get to because of holdouts,
Right.
and this committee that you're talking about, most of the property owners would agree, but there's a holdout in the way, and if that doesn't clear the holdout, then it doesn't do no good, yeah.
I guess
But it-
all we would ask for, sorry, are you still going?
No,
We
go
would,
ahead.
we would like to get out of this meeting a point of contact for Jones Flat that we could work with to start, you know, if you guys wanna start the petition process, could we get somebody to
We
step
can
up
introduce that
and-
person to the petition process by the staff.
Hey,
Sure.
so with a special improvement district, there's gonna be a cost involved, and you were mentioning to the owners of the property possibly, and maybe Mohave County contributes. Is that right?
The county would not contribute anything.
Okay, so-
We would provide a tremendous amount of staff report. We would write up
Yeah.
the petition as well as.
That doesn't build a road though, so it just causes more paperwork. So what everybody needs to know here is that you're gonna have to pay for it out of your pocket if you wanna improve these roads, period.
And I would also have the same question,
Yeah.
would it,
Where's the
lower
county?
standards
Where's the,
be accepted to
Should be a standard around, so we can actually.
Well, I actually think
I think
that someone needs to step up and work with Steve, and then I work with Steve, they're the right of way holders, yeah, so.
I would, all of those that are affected by this, I would really say get Director Natowski's contact information. He is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to this stuff. In Mohave County, we do wanna work with you, we wanna be a good partner. Steve is solutions oriented, as you probably have seen just by the short time we've had this morning. Brilliant engineer, he's published a lot of papers, so he's gonna be able to think outside of the lines to help, but we do have to have a champion. Every project that gets done, we have to have a champion. Just like you know.
She's not gonna get it today because.
Yeah, and just in my time, 5 years, there's been some interesting, to your point, there's been some interesting situations when it comes to roads and property lines and these things that we've had to step in at the county to remediate and fix. It just is the way it is. It's how it developed it. Sir, do you have a question? And then we're gonna move forward.
We may have a solution.
Okay, perfect. If you wanna get with Steve or whoever after the meeting, appreciate that. But thank you for the VLM.
Thank you, is there any other questions for us?
I got a question. How we doing on that road approval for the other side there, Desert Springs, going back down to my place and Bundy's and all that?
So that's my counterpart that's working on that one, and she's been working with the county on it. I can't speak for what we're waiting on, but it's in the process and the EA is being drafted.
Okay, the architect told me it had been approved. He told me he got verbal confirmation it was approved, but nothing on paper yet.
No, it hasn't, the right of way hasn't been issued yet. We're in the environmental
Gosar's office, and we're thankful that she's here with us to provide us an update on what's going on.
Well, thanks. How many of you are feeling happy and excited like Christmas Day every morning? Not yet? I know I am. Every day is something new, and it's not something that's dragging our rights away, so I'm kinda loving it. So let me give you just, I gotta put my cheaters on. Let me just give you the first 50 days of Congressman Gosar's, the 119th Congress. There's HR 34, and I have handouts for these over here, and if you have any questions that I can help you with, understand. How many of you get Congressman Gosar's newsletter on Sunday? If you don't, and you want to, there's some cards up here, you can shoot me an email. They keep us updated on what's going on. The LASSO Act is a land and social security optimization. How many get social security? All right. This is gonna help because it's supposed to go broke in 2033. So the congressman looked at some optimization on land, and it requires 10% of the revenue that's generated by lands under the Department of Interior and the Forest Service to be deposited into this is a horrible title, but it was from a long time ago, Federal Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund. That's kind of rude.
I resemble that remark.
That's a little bit rude, but it was from like early 1900s. So it unlocks the domestic energy, mining, and agriculture. So if you are grazing land, you have to graze more cattle. If you're mining, you have to mine more. If you receive those allocations from the federal government and you're the steward of that, it says in there shall and must, which is not an option. You have to do that. And the government has not been doing that. So the more utilization of development of public lands and the more money deposited into Social Security, it will incentivize the multiple use, which could bring millions to the coffers. How many have heard of the downwinders? Every hand should go up. Downwinders has been from the nuclear testing. It was Clark County and Mohave County predominantly. Apache and Navajo and some of them on the eastern side had that. When it came into law, part of Clark County and part of Mohave County were excluded. And when I say excluded, when you get cancer that is probable from the RICA testing, you get, at the time it was $50,000. And it can go to a survivor to help pay some of the bills. Well, because that was left out, Congressman started in the 113th Congress, I believe, when he was first elected to try and do this. And it wasn't going. So he's reintroduced that again, and it corrects this administrative oversight. I think it was a staffer like me that just didn't do it right. Well, I wasn't there, so it wasn't me, because I probably would never have done that. And so we're trying to get that parity taken care of, and it seems closer than it has been in many, many years. Also, HR 7365, I see by the hats in here, we have a lot of veterans. How many veterans do we have? Thank you all. So there's, when you travel, how many of you fly? Travis, I know you fly. What a pain in the butt it is to go through TSA, right? Well, the congressman introduced a bill, and it is HR 7365, and it's called the Safe Travel Act, and it was signed into law. So you can get a TSA pre-boarding, pre-approval free.
Is this veterans only?
Right now it's veterans only, but I think when we talk about it in our office, veterans, it's priority in our office, but that doesn't mean that if you have other disabilities that you shouldn't be awarded something like that. Maybe not free, but a discounted. And so I think that's something we're looking forward in the future, but an accomplishment for our veterans.
So it's like a free pre-check.
Yes. So when you go in, and so 4 years ago, my husband had a stroke, and we fly, and what a pain when he's in a wheelchair, he's trying to go through.
I fly for a living. Whenever you fly, it's gonna be a pain.
It's a pain, right? But if you have the option of having a pre-check, it will help you go through, it saves some time. And generally, I found that TSA, they're very good
same thing also, be aware it's the same thing if you have joints that replace joints.
Correct.
Because they're gonna make you go through all that.
And if you have a loop
hand.
monitor or something, they try and make you go
It's
through.
not the same,
Not
each
the
airport
same.
you go to is gonna be different. What
Yeah.
you do at this airport is not gonna be the same as what you do.
That's correct. That's correct. You make some really good points, and that's true. Anyway, so right now, if you're a veteran and you wanna travel, go get your TSA, apply online and go get that taken care of. Now, working with the Trump administration, President Trump has already delivered on 2 of Congressman Gosar's promises, which is the LASSO Act, and conducting oversights of NGOs. NGOs are non-government entities. They're not all bad, and they're not all good. And they don't manage their money the way that they should, which is kind of ironic that Congress is calling them out on that, because we're finding out that Congress didn't manage their money very well either, right? So we'll call that out right now. But it's going to help enhance. Now, how many have a passport? I do, because I'm a female, right? So I took a tour down 2 years ago to the Western Passport Agency in Tucson. And we went into this special room that has female, male, and there was an X boxes. An X box is anything you want to be that day to get a passport. This is not even a made up story. And I raised my hand, I'm like, so there's cats, and what are we talking about here? And they said it's whatever you want to be on your passport, which means that if you feel like you're a furry today and you want to go and be a cat, you can be a cat. You don't have to provide any birth certificate. What is a passport?
What's the word?
How valuable is a passport if you don't know who it's for, right? Well, that's become a thing of the past. I have a meeting in 2 weeks, 3 weeks to go down to the Western Passport and make sure that they get the message. There's no more Xboxes, and not the gamers type, because those are fun. And then ending the aid to Ukraine and Ukrainian radical groups like the Azov battalions, facilitating peace in the Middle East. And I know there might be some that agree with the Ukrainian people. It's not the people that are the troublemakers over there. It's the problem with their leadership. But it sounds like there's a peace deal coming on. The critical minerals that are in Ukraine are critical. Those that are in the United States are by and large owned by the Chinese. And we need critical minerals. We all have one of these, right? Does anyone drive an electric car? No, yeah, buy an electric car.
Nobody will admit it.
There you go. Like 10 hours of flying the charging station somewhere, right? Anyway, you have to have critical minerals in order to make anything that's green or updated technology happen. And so we need those critical minerals, and it sounds like they're gonna try and come to a conclusion to get that. For some of the US money that was sent to the Ukraine, that's how Zelensky and Trump are gonna figure out how we can get some of those critical minerals. Listen, I think it's ingenious, and the art of the deal is President Trump. Executive orders are great, but Congress has to follow them up with legislation in order to make those last. That's, if you remember back in the Obama days, there was an affirmative fair housing legislation. And we don't live in HOAs or neighborhoods up here that are monitored, but we have communities. If you have a community that is predominantly of one Christian, white, black, doesn't matter what color, right? Obama wanted to make it more diverse, and they would move someone in and the government would pay these people to come in and move. And basically what happened is they disrupt neighborhoods. We all live in a rural area because we have a lot of things in common. Like, we don't need a whole lot of government coming out and bothering us, right? So the congressman reintroduced that affirmative fair housing, and hopefully we can get that squashed by legislation. Congressman also sent a letter to Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who I think is amazing, known him for many years. Obtaining answers on the attack on Tower 22 in Jordan that injured over 40 of our Arizona National Guardsmen. It's things like this that go to a dark hole in the government, and no answers are ever generated for the families, and we need to find out what members who were discharged for not taking that COVID shot. Like it or not, they were let go. Some at 19 years and didn't retain and couldn't accomplish their 20 years. So we're working with them on that. We are told that they're all gonna be reinstated and compensated. So hopefully that's sooner rather than later. Of course, ending foreign wars and entanglements and including the aid that's to the Ukraine, we talked about that. Now, we also sent a letter to the Department of Interior, Doug Burgum, who've heard that name before. He's a very smart, intelligent, used to be a governor of a state, North Dakota. I was gonna say South, but that's Kristi Noem, and she's making all kinds of, go for her. It's important that the energy costs are lower, and that means production for American farmers and for people that drill, people that grow our food. We have to do those energy policies, and I know Travis works on a lot of energy policies. The congressman is all of the above energy. Solar's fine, it doesn't replace natural gas or coal. It doesn't have what we call a base load. So when the sun's down or the wind's not blowing, you have no wind and you have no solar, and there's no way to harness that energy and save it. That technology's not here yet. But we have to find economic ways that America can thrive and be the sole producer of our own energy instead of waiting for China or Russia, whoever wants to send us some energy, which someday they may not want to.
Small modular reactor technology is really
So those are coming
interesting,
along.
and uranium is a critical mineral
You're
for
right.
national defense.
Those are great, and they're really good, and they've been around since, any submariners in here? Been around since what, the early 40s? When there were submarines, that's what runs those, right? The problem with those, that the technology is they use a lot of water, and we're waiting to hear, and they're still working on it, but it's probably 5 or 6 years away, to get the ones that have less water. In Arizona, we can't suggest that you replace one form that takes a ton of water. Groundwater, someone will come around and get you for that, just for fun, right? All right, now, I think I have one more, and then I think I'm good. Oh, I think I'm good. Let me give you one more thing. Military academies come through Congressman Gosar's office. On May 9th, we have a military academy day. So if you know any young high school kids that want to serve and want to go to a military academy, have them contact me. I have cards over there. Anyone can get a hold, go on our line. We're having an academy day where all of the branches of the military service will be there. So these are ones that are going from, generally from high school, the senior in high school, so they would go directly there. There are other ways to get in the military if you're under, I think it's 35. You can do that. You can do an officer candidate school. As long as you weren't if you didn't leave on other than honorable terms, those are kind of hard to get back in. It's not impossible, but it's hard. So I just appreciate all of you guys coming out today. I know it's, federal government has a bad name. Congressman's trying to do everything he can. It's not going to be pretty. He's going to disagree with Speaker Johnson on some things, because if it doesn't help our constituents in our district, we're not going to support it. But we're not going to say no. We're going to say how to get to yes and work on it. I appreciate it. If there's any questions, I'll take it. Yes, sir.
Quick one. I'm really happy that you wake up every day excited. I'm kind of a grumpy old man. I don't have that. I don't have that kind of optimism. I'm more of a pessimist. But I do want Congressman Gosar to understand that change for my vote last November. I was promised 50% reduction of my gasoline prices. I fill up at Smith's in Mesquite. I filled up yesterday. It's a little higher than it was 4 or 5 months ago.
Right.
I was also promised 25% lower food prices.
Correct.
I went into Smith's, bought some food, still really expensive.
Yeah.
I was also promised mass deportation.
Well, those are happening. That's happening.
All right, I understand thousands have
No.
been deported,
No,
but
no.
we have millions, so
I
I'm not
got you.
seeing buses.
You're not gonna see any buses, okay, up here. You probably will not see buses up here.
Well, we have
But-
plenty, I think there's plenty of
So-
illegal folks.
So let me back up. Okay, so President Trump's been in office for 30 days.
And I was promised on day one.
That he
what
would
I was
start working on
promised.
it. No,
That's
no.
not the way I understood it.
Well, let me help you understand. There's no way that for 4 years of, the Biden administration, they go in and did what they did, to on day one, make your eggs be back to, $1.20 or whatever they are. I can pay $9 for 18 of them, so I'm in the same, I get it. But we're still buying them, and so, we're not reflective of the we hate that price, right? I mean, it's still a burden, but we have to give the economy and we have to give President Trump and his administration adequate time to change some of those policies. Now, you've heard Tom Homan and Secretary of Homeland Security, they are mincing no words. If you go to Yuma, there are buses. They are going downtown, they are knocking on doors. ICE knows where these people are. Colorado, they know where they are, but they couldn't go in and get them because it was forbidden during the Biden administration. All right? So you have to give a chance for that to happen. And they're also not going to go on Fox News or CNN and say, hey, coming to a neighborhood near you and we are gonna load the buses up. That's not how it's gonna work.
What's your definition of adequate time?
Well, 30 days is certainly not adequate.
I agree.
Although Tom Homan is doing more than adequate.
It took
And they're
4
doing-
years of mass illegal immigration to get to where it is. You can't expect it to reverse in a month or two.
Well, and if you go down to Port,
Huh?
and San Luis, they only had, I think, 24.
You know, you got 20 million of them.
That's not true. The gotaways are there. The cartel is fumbling around, you know? There are things that are disrupting them, so.
Can you address the budget package that just passed? I know there's substantial resources to fund these.
There are substantial resources, that are going to fund with this resolution package. Now, Congress came out with one and the Senate came out with one. And Speaker Johnson was asked yesterday, what's Plan B? And there is no Plan B. So the Senate's gonna have to come play with the House. And there's $2 trillion over 10 years that are the budget cuts in there. The Senate still likes to spend money, and let's be honest, some of the people in Congress, President Trump called 6 of them, as I understood, on the day they were voting and told them, listen, well, I can only imagine, he probably said, if you wanna run again, you're gonna be a real yes vote on this, stop it.
And one more point for,
All right.
for the congressman.
Okay.
The national debt
Yeah.
is incredibly worrisome to me. On my conservative fiscal responsibility side, I'm a fiscal conservative to the core. I balance my household budget every single month. My social security check comes in, I don't spend more than what I bring in. Somebody, and if you call yourself a conservative, on my conservative side, that is a big priority, because this country is going to go bankrupt soon.
So you
If
support-
cut taxes.
That's right.
And increase spending, which has been going on both parties for a long time. There's only 2 ways to solve the budget problem, and please tell Mr. Representative this. Either raise revenues or cut spending. If you do both, that budget balance is much more.
And if you know anything about Congressman Gosar, he's a fiscally responsible hawk and votes no on probably 90%. Okay, so you are in support of Elon Musk helping President, if you're not a fiscal conservative, look what he's finding. No, I have no question. All right, so raise your hand if you think all our tax dollars should be used to fund 14 million in cash vouchers for illegal aliens at the southern border. That was happening. 14 million, okay? And raise your hand if you think 59 million taxpayer dollars should be used to house illegal aliens in luxury hotels in New York City. That was happening. This has all been uncovered in all this exposing. So we are all fiscal. Our budget should be balanced every year. The state balances their budget, the county balances their budget, cities and towns do. But the federal government, and I will share that with the congressman, we hear that on a very regular basis. And he agrees with me. But he's one out of 535, okay? I appreciate it, and thank you for the time. Thanks for inviting me.
We were supposed to have our county treasurer, Sue Mel, was supposed to be here, but she's ill. There's some crud going around Kingman, so she wasn't able to come. So we're going to move to Dean Cash, our Mohave County assessor. We're thankful to have you here.
Thank you very much.
She's
Thank
here
you,
for it.
everybody. Nice to see you again. A lot of familiar faces. I'm just going to quickly go over the programs that we have. A lot of you have already heard them, but I want you to come and ask me questions because maybe it's time. But we have some exemption programs and senior freeze programs. The exemption programs are due today, so probably a little too late for this year. But considering for next year, we have a widower's exemption program. We also have a veterans exemption program, and we have a 100% disabled exemption program. All of these do require you to qualify. You can't make too much money, or your house can't be valued too high, but it still is a program that can save you up to $400 in your taxes every year, which is quite a bit. We want you to apply, please. If you have any questions in regards to those and what you need, I have a list of the things you're going to require to apply for next year. It opens up every year at the beginning of January 1st, the first day of the year, and then it ends on February 28th, which is today. So remember that for next year, and I have a wonderful customer service department that will be glad to answer all the questions that you might have, and we can send you email all of the documents. They're on our website as well. The senior freeze goes on. That program goes on till September, and what that does is if you qualify and you're 65 years old, we freeze your value, so it'll never go up until you leave or you pass. So it's a great program. We have people that have been in it since the 70s, so you can only imagine their tax bill being very low. So we also have a program, I'll get you a second, called the APP program, and what that is the Assessor's Address Protection Program. We developed it in Mohave County. They're now using it throughout the state. Quite proud of that. And what that does is kind of freeze your address. We found that the common denominator with deed fraud, people stealing your property, is a change of address. So what we're doing was we're giving you the opportunity to sign up. There's a nominal fee of $50, but we verify through notary that you are who you are, and unless you tell us, we will not transfer that title. So unless you call and say, I sold my home, your daughter called and said that you passed away, or you're just moving, you will always stay in there, and there's, for somebody to come in and try to steal your property, it's pretty impossible because we're not gonna be able to change the address on
Does that happen a lot?
We've caught about a half a dozen of them, so it does happen. And it's happening around the state huge. I'm part of the enterprise program for the state, so we've been working in multiple ways on how to stop it.
What is that called again?
It's called the Assessor's Address Protection Program, or we call it the AAPP. I have a few forms here if you want them, but they're also on the website. Okay, you can be notarized here and send it all to my office. You had a question, sir?
On that freezing value of your home after age 65, is there a limit of how much your income is to qualify for that?
Yes, but in the freeze program, it doesn't account for all of your income. Yeah, all of your income. Let me see here. For this freeze program, this is the exemption. We use the gross income taxable and non-taxable for a 3-year average. And in my book, it'll tell you what the total is that you can make. But, yes, all of the programs are qualifying programs. They're not made for people with a lot of money or a big house. They're made for people that, you know, are just barely making it, so we can help those type of folks out there. Any questions on our programs? Please come see me after the meeting if you have some detailed questions. The other thing I wanted to share with you is one of the things that been pretty busy at the legislature this year, trying to get some bills passed that helps my constituents and the property owners of Mohave around the state as well. We had a few bills that are passing. We have Senate Bill 1224 that's basically just codifying the senior freeze, and once you pass, then it would definitely be dropped off of your property. We don't have that in language. If you know what codifying means, it means we don't have a statute that tells us that that's what we have to do. So that's all that one was. The other one was SB 1549, and this is passing as well. We haven't gone through this through the other side yet on all of these yet, but it's for conservation easements to make certain that we use standard appraisal practices to value that property. Another bill that we have is SB 1122, and it's exemption qualifications. These qualifications I was talking to you about, what it's doing is they're now going to allow us to use the Federal House Price Index for most recent fiscal years, as well as the GDP, because what was happening in certain areas of the state, like Coconino County and Flagstaff or Lake Havasu, there's some areas that the houses are so expensive, there's no possible way anyone would qualify for any of these exemption programs. So we were trying to make it where more people would be able to qualify. It's not their fault they're living in that area, and the houses and the values are so high, but yet they've been there 20 years and they should be able to qualify for these programs. So those are three that could all affect you, and they're all going forward. We did try to do a short-term rental bill, but because of politics, that's on hold till next year. I don't know if any of you are having issues with short-term rentals in your neighborhoods, but it's a big issue below this area. And then we also had a Rule B bill that we have to wait till next year. And what that basically is saying is because of a court case, they wanted us to value everybody's properties together. Like Littlefield would be the same value and percentage as Lake Havasu. Well, these neighborhoods are different. But according to them, the only jurisdictional boundaries we have is Mohave County. So we're fighting that to make certain that we can keep our neighborhoods in our neighborhoods, keep our values there when there's a Rule B that we have to do. I think that's all I have, unless there's any questions out there. Yes, sir.
Are we doing our best in Arizona to keep California politics out of Arizona? Because that's what's happened to Havasu. That's what's happened to all those, and that's why most of us live here. And it's happening now it's happening up in St. George.
Yeah.
And I mean, is there anything in place to kind of stop that from encroaching?
It's our voices that do a lot of that. I'm sure you can probably share some of that.
My answer is yes, there is something in place to stop that, and that's all of you.
Yeah.
Because our 5-member board of supervisors in Mohave County, we're about the most conservative county that you'll
I
find
get
in
that too,
Arizona.
but the problem in a rural area is there's not that many voices, and then all it takes is an influx of people that want it one way, and then the rest of us just get, it's like, well, we'll outvote them and we'll do what we wanna do. Plus we'll throw money at it,
The problem with that is it happens everywhere.
It
It's
does.
happened outside of Dallas, Texas.
Oh, I live there, I moved
California
from
move in.
Fort Worth there, I lived there for 26 years.
Well, I live outside San Antonio, so
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But it happens everywhere. They move in, they want exactly what they've left. It was free for me to do this in California. It was free for me to do this in, well, bullshit. You paid taxes on it, so that it was free.
Right.
Nothing's free,
So
period.
I think that
Nothing's free,
voice
period.
is very loud when you go to the legislature, and that it's repeated frequently. We don't want a California, Arizona, and that's said all the time. And so we always have that in our minds when we're fighting a bill or we're going forward with
It's
anything.
hard to fight that.
In Lake Havasu's case, the reason that the prices went up was supply and demand. Because they came in and a lot of the short-term rental people bought a lot of the houses, too many of the houses, so now we don't have housing for our firefighters or our teachers because they wanted those 3-bedroom, 2-baths that were so easy to turn around and rent on a weekend basis, so the supply and demand in Lake Havasu, it's also, bordered with BLM and state land all the way around it, so they can't get any farther out. So that's why you saw what you saw in Lake Havasu, more than them coming in from California, although I live right on the river and I tell them not to come over, so.
I'll give one more point to your point. I think if that happens here, it's gonna happen probably, we're gonna be the last bastion. Because there was a bill that tried to push open primaries, remember that on the ballot? And if that would've happened, then I would've been really worried. But as long as our candidates, are selected in the partisan primaries, I think we're gonna be okay here for a while.
Are we still trying to watching our subdivisions to keep them from being able to cut acres down to quarter acres and stuff like that?
We're gonna let Director Holtree talk about that later in the agenda.
Sir, did you have a question for me?
Well, I don't know if it's you or, my question is with building permits in Mohave County and dealing with that. You see a lot of structures out here and it's simply because people can't deal with the building department or getting building permits. I've been dealing with this for 2 years, building permits here.
Yeah.
And I've built houses in other states and counties, and Mohave is by far.
You start next to the director, the
Yeah,
guy
as soon
that
as he speaks, that's when you're gonna
holds
ask
all
that
the
question.
Just for an example, we just put a manufactured home in down here because we couldn't build one. They sent all the paperwork back after the 6th time and said it's incomplete. I called up and said, what's incomplete? Well, we don't know, we sent it all back to you. And so we wanted to put decorative skirting around our manufactured home. Can't do it, has to be an engineered vinyl plastic, I guess, by a certified vinyl plastic installer. You can't actually put decorative good skirting or brick, it has to be
Yeah, those
engineered
legitimate concerns.
plastic.
When you talk about the electronic plan review stuff, because what I'm hearing is that's gonna eliminate a lot of the stuff I think that you just talked about. And then I think everybody here on this panel is gonna stick around. If you wanna have additional questions for
Okay.
Public Works or building services or.
And one other question, Jones Flat, I heard a lot about that, but right around here, the Grand Canyon, Phoenix and that, does Mohave County own a blade or a gravel truck? We're not wanting pavement, we'd just like a blade once in a while.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Public Works Director, when he gets to his portion, if you talk about the care and maintain roads that we have in this area and what the schedule is, appreciate it.
Okay.
You had a question, sir?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the assessors question, what have you, but I look at this tax bill, okay? I get the tax bill, and I go, what am I paying for? We all get it. So, in looking at this, I call all these phone numbers, it's a, why should you call all these phone numbers? It's a dog and pony show, you go around the circle, oh, that's not us.
Yes,
No,
exactly.
this and this and this. So here's an example, right here in Beaverdale. Okay. What's the Mount Trumbull?
Mount Trumbull, I can answer that. Mount Trumbull is the communications center located on, up on the mountain here, that all the communications go through that Mount Trumbull. And that's,
Yeah, let's say that's 32% of my tax bill.
well, yeah, because, they have to maintain that, all that, radio equipment and that's up there that relays from here to there, to the units that are out there. And that's all. That's what it's about, and it's,
Okay.
sits on top of the mountain.
Okay, yeah. Then we have the Mohave County Library.
There we go.
I have looked high and low and I can't find the library. And then as you drop down a little lower,
Where's the money?
we have the Mohave County CID. It's on my bill for 4.34%. And then you have things like,
So every tax bill is different, depending upon where you are in the county, okay? Because as you can see, thank you for saying that, I don't have where I live in north of Lake Havasu, I don't have a Mount Trumbull district, so I don't have that on my tax bill. But yet I have a 3.5% fire district, because I'm not in the Lake Havasu city, so I do have that on my tax bill. So every tax bill is different. I know that I know Sue Ann's not here to answer those questions for you, but she did go through a lot of trouble in the last 2 years to make sure those phone numbers work. So if those phone numbers don't work, contact the treasurer's office and tell them that you can't get through. And most of those districts have a board. I don't know about the Mount Trumbull, okay, you'd have to communicate with them, but you have to understand that it's just taxes that we're dealing with. So if they're gonna tax you through, a library district, you go through the supervisor's board, so you go to the supervisors if you have a concern with that. The MCC has got the college board, right? The school board, is there as well if you have a school, and their board. So those are the ones you need to go to say, hey, I don't want you to charge me 35% of my tax bill. And those are the people that they're supposed to be listening to you. And then we put all that together for your tax bill.
I understand that, but also, I paid for Mohave County Community College. Anybody attend that?
I don't know anybody that has.
I don't even know there was one here.
Education's one of those things that you'll always see on the tax bill, because at one point in time, you did have kids, and your kids had kids, and we all have to, if we don't invest in our education, then our communities will fall apart. So that's why that you'll always see that on every tax bill.
Has there ever been anyone from here go to that college?
Yes,
Oh, I don't know.
yes, there has. And that college, the campus is in Colorado City. Oh, that's only an hour and a half. That's all it is.
It's a district, separate taxing district. They have a board of 5. They have 4 campuses. The closest one here is Colorado City, Arizona. And unfortunately, all of us, whether we like it or not, in the county, we pay that community college district tax. So,
I mean, we're getting taxed for things that we have no availability, we're paying for, we're not receiving it, what it is. However, I did see we had a community pool at the last big rainstorm. It was over in Desert Springs on the freeway. We didn't get to use it, it lasted 24 hours. Now, the other thing is, we don't have a rec center, we don't have a community center, we have nothing.
Right.
And yet we still get assessed higher and higher and higher in a recession. Buying power is down to nothing, and yet the taxes keep going up. The assessment.
So your full cash value is what the market is. Thank goodness you're not taxed on that, okay? You're not taxed on the full cash value because your market can do this depending upon who's in office, right? So, you are only taxed on your limited property value. And that, by law, that we all voted in back in 2014, by law goes up 5%. That limited property value goes up until it hits that full cash value. And so, unfortunately, you're gonna see a 5% increase in your taxes.
Every time.
Your values can do this as far as your full cash value, but your limited is only gonna just do this until it stops at that full
Only
cash.
5% of 100 and 5% of 1,000 is a big difference. To answer your question about eggs, we know what the cause of the high price of eggs are. It seems today's generation of roosters can't identify what sex they are.
Yeah, sort of like the eggs passport, so I got you.
Anybody else have any questions? Jane, can we go on? Yes, sir.
I don't know if this is the right time to bring this up about fire districts. My assessment from the fire district is almost 33% of my total taxes.
Yes, sir.
You go across the street, they don't even pay anything.
It's the way they tax them and.
Well, I understand that. Is there anybody in the county or the state, Penny?
No, I'm federal, I have nothing to do with those
Working on
guys.
that whatsoever? Because Tom Oliver and a lot of different people have been working on it for a long time.
But
And nothing happens. Nothing happens to improve where the fire district boundaries really are.
You're right, and that's something that the county needs to work with our state representatives on. So here's the problem right now, and it's something that I think that there's a fix for. Let's say your property is in the fire district, right? And let's say that there's a property, let's say your property's here on the grid system or the parcel system, right? So there's a property that's in the fire district here, this one is not. When it touches the boundary, and yours is on the other side of that property, right now, under state law, you cannot petition to enter and be included in that fire district if this property owner does not want to be in the fire district.
what we need to fix. You need to have a fix in the legislative statute that basically says you're within a certain amount of feet away from the district boundaries, and let's say that there's a property owner between you and the district boundaries. You want your property to be in the fire district boundary, but the property owner between you is not. That would not preclude you from being in the fire district. We need to have that change.
Hey,
My question, I have a question on that. So on my taxes.
I'm gonna let him finish and then I'll get to you, that's okay?
Okay, Dan probably has been involved in a lot of this with the fire district. And who is really working on it in the county, or who's got responsibilities for that?
We have one senator, two legislators for District 30, which is our district. I'm working with them. I've actually had county staff do maps, modeling of maps of the fire district here and what the different boundaries would be. I mean, as far as what would be possible. We just need to have one of our senator, Bill Angus, or Leo Biasucci, or John Gillette. Those are our representatives in the state legislature. We need to have them introduce legislation that would basically change the fire district statutes to allow property that's within a certain, feet away from a fire district boundary to enter into that fire district. Right now, the statute says you have to have a property that is actually touching the boundary of the fire district, and that's been the whole problem. It has to be changed. And you got a question?
That's what I was wondering is, getting it changed because we have a subdivision almost right across the street from
Yeah.
us. And we cannot get into the fire district because.
It's problematic. In rural, especially in rural areas, it's problematic. It needs to
Well,
change.
the big problem is across the street from the subdivision, which is a quarter mile from our house, there's a brand new fire station, and there's not one person in it. There's nobody to man it, there's nothing.
But that fire station was donated by that subdivision.
Well, that doesn't matter, where's the fireman that goes in there? All the brand new fire trucks and
It's manned by
ambulances.
people, there's nobody there full time. This is the only station that has anybody.
So what does it take to get somebody to man that station?
Money.
Our whole area is growing so much.
That's right.
And we've got 80% of seniors that need more paramedic services than a fire station. By the time paramedics gets from here to there, I'm dead.
That's right, but you have firefighters and EMTs that live right there close, and they're on call to that. We have an ambulance and a fire truck in that station. So we do have the equipment out there, and we have, people that are really close that can man it.
Are you on the fire district board, sir?
Yes, I am.
So that's one of the gentlemen that you talked to. So it's a separate taxing district, that they have a board. They're the ones that make those resource.
So I still have to pay a little fire district charge on my property taxes, even though I'm not in the fire district?
I don't know what their district boundaries are. If you're not in the district boundaries.
I have a fire district charge on my property tax.
And you're not in the fire
No,
district?
I come down here and talk to the chief here, and he says, where are you at? And I showed him one of my properties, but you're not touching anybody.
Well, I don't know why you're.
So I said, so what happens when my house burns down? He goes, we send you a bill. I go, okay, what's my bill?
It sounds like,
$30,000?
Depends on what they
I
need
know.
to use. And
That's what I'm saying.
that's why it works so much better. If you know you're in the district, then you know you're
Well, the
paying.
theory the chief tells me is my property taxes, I gotta pay $300 to get into this. This is rough, this just.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I pay $300 to get into the fire district, which my property tax goes up $300, but theoretically, my property insurance is supposed to drop $300, cause now I'm in a fire district. Well, the check's in the mail on all that, I can tell you.
Sir, if you have a discrepancy on your tax bill, I would recommend that you contact either Sue Annella, who's not here, or
Or the assessor's office.
the assessor's office
We can
as
help
well.
identify what
Yeah.
district that's in, so.
Appreciate that.
Yes.
Speaking of fires,
One more question, then we're
I'll
gonna
bring up another
continue
thing.
to move on here.
And, Dan can correct me if I'm wrong, but they are in the process of, the government land acquired, and that for a new fire station when that is built, it's being built for personnel to be out there. But, the one that's clear over on Western, and that's clear out on the
Spring Rain Drive.
What, right?
Spring Rain,
Okay.
right at the top.
Down by the general store.
Yes, just west of there.
That's better than most.
That's in the working process, but we have no idea how long it will take.
I appreciate the conversation, this is all important, but in order to get it through everybody, if we could, just continue to run through the agenda, and if there's any follow-up questions on any of these topics after the meeting, we'd be happy to address those, if that's okay. I wanna thank you for being here, thank you for the information. Next, I wanna give the floor, I wanna thank, our recorder, Vivian Durst, and, her deputy for being here today with us. I know you have some important information to share with everybody.
Private.
We'll talk about it.
The other deputy.
Yeah, the other deputy.
She's back there.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lydia Durst. I'm your county recorder. In the recorder's office, we record documents to do with the land, your transferring of ownership. We record the resolutions, any of your easements, right-of-ways, things like that as well. Those documents are searchable because they're public record. On the county website, you can search documents from 1989 to current. We also have a program I would like to ask all of you to enroll in. It is the Recorded Document Alert. It goes hand in hand with Jeannie Assessor Finch's program of the address protection. This here is a recorded document alert. You could put any name on there or any parcel numbers, and it will send you an email with an image of the document that's recorded. If you feel that it is then fraudulent, you would then need to contact an attorney, paralegal, document preparer to help you combat that. But you'll receive that notice within days of it being recorded prior to it getting to the assessor's office for their program. Ours is completely free. You just need an active email address, and you'll receive any notification that's recorded against you. For the voter registration side of my department, we have no called elections for the Beaver Dam area at this time for 2025, but everyone will receive a postcard in the month of May that will be verifying your voter registration status. That will have your name, your address, your mailing address, all of that. So I hope all of you receive that. If anything is wrong on it, please request a new voter registration form so we can update your record and be sure it's accurate. If you get a postcard for someone that doesn't live in your residence or get mail in your P.O. box, we do ask that you write on it, not at this address, and return it. Return mail is how we clean up our voter rolls, so that can put the person into inactive status. We can forward a mail to them to get them canceled off the voter rolls. In off-election years, we usually spend a lot of time looking at the voter rolls to do additional mailers. So we're going to do a whole May mailer to all voters in Mohave County, about 150,000. And then also we will pinpoint other areas. So for Colorado City, we've been working on their addressing there, perfecting it more. Every address in Mohave County needs a pin on their residence for you to be within the right district. So for instance, we're speaking about fire districts. So you want to be sure if you live in the fire district, you're eligible to vote for that fire district board whenever that election is held. For voter registration, there was a law that was passed, and we have to notify all voters of any change that is done to their record. So we also have a program you can sign up for. Bless you. That program will notify you by text or email, your choice, and it would then essentially cost us a lot less money and a lot less time to notify you of any change to your record. It would be a change such as your name, your political party, your email address, a phone number, anything to your voter record that changes, we have to notify you. At this time, we're sending letters, but because of the mass letters we have to send, we cannot specify to each voter what is being changed in their record, so it is causing a lot of confusion. So in the meantime, while we work on perfecting that process of our department, if you enroll in a text or email alert, you'll instantly know what has changed to your voter record, and if you didn't change it, you should then contact our office. We have some pamphlets over there. Natalie is my chief deputy recorder. She's been answering a lot of questions I've seen. We'll be here after the meeting if you have any questions. I'm happy to take them now, but I know we do want to get through the whole panel. So if anyone has questions, and if not, thank you all so much for coming. This is a great turnout.
Sir, can I just say something, go back to the fire district and just make a short comment about that?
Okay, real quick.
I've been on the board for I don't know how many years, and I think in 4 or 5 elections, I've been voted in once. because there's nobody that will run against us. We're looking for people that'll show some interest in the fire district. In fact, we have an opening on the board right now, and he is from Scenic. We're hoping to get somebody from the Scenic area. If anybody's interested in your fire board, knowing what's going on and wish to support them and help, we would love to have you show some interest.
Appreciate that. That's a very important comment. Thank you for that. We're gonna go to Sheriff's Office now. It's your time to shine. I know that,
Well, good morning. I have good news. At least I feel it's good news. Again, on behalf of Sheriff Schuster, he's sorry that he couldn't be here today at a last minute appointment that he had to be at. But that's okay because it's always a privilege for me to come up here. I love it up here. I wanted to retire up here, but my wife had other plans for me. I will tell you that 29 years ago, I came up here. I was assigned up here because I was on my first week of field training, and one of our deputies in Dolan Springs had gotten shot in the head. And so being I was new and it was my first week on the job, they said, well, let's send him up to the strip and get him away from the monotony of things in the Kingman area. So I came up here and I was like, holy crap, this is beautiful. And I've enjoyed it ever since. I will tell you that 29 years moving forward, the crime has not changed up here. And that's because of the good people that live here. And that's because of the great working relationship the Sheriff's Office has with the Department of Public Safety, the BLM, Game and Fish. Everybody works together up here because you are remote and we are scarce, scattered around, and we don't have as many deputies as we would like up here. But thank goodness the crime doesn't say otherwise. So congratulations to all of you and the hardworking deputies. I will say with the growth that has come as of late with the truck stops and stuff, we figured there'd be a infest in trespassing, transients, and crime. I will tell you that hasn't happened to the extreme that we're concerned about. I will tell you that Sergeant Stock and the crew up here have made sure to stay on top of that so it doesn't happen, and we will continue to stay on top of that. If an issue does arise, we will address it aggressively, and if we have to bring more resources from the Kingman area, we will bring more resources up here to address any of those issues that may interfere with your quality of life. So with that, I'll keep mine short because it's already been a long morning for you guys. I'll be happy to answer any questions. If it's personal or unrelated, we can certainly talk afterwards. Go ahead, sir.
Is there a law on how long political signs got before they've got to be removed?
They'll be down in a week, just all this over there.
Because the sheriff's office has, the sheriff still has a hell of a bunch of his signs around.
What area is that in?
Coming out of Scenic.
You come right out of Scenic, you run right into it all the time.
I will look into that and we will make sure it's addressed.
But I mean, there's at least two more.
I will make sure that's addressed. I know there's a certain amount of time after the election that they need to be removed, and I will make sure that that's addressed.
It's 11 days.
It's 11 days, sir, after the election.
Bars are passed.
So, yeah. My husband and I walk every day.
We need a paramedic.
There has to be in the schools up there.
There's some signs.
Yes,
There's some on Scenic.
Well, we don't live in Scenic. Don't say Schuster, those are Schuster signs. It's just.
What kind of signs are you talking about?
Traffic signs.
Safety signs.
Number one, I guess it's the sign.
So that'll be, yeah.
We'll have Director Tomsky address that, if that's okay.
And then, no, literally, we walk up and down TA Street, we walk up to TA Street and back, and it's awful because there's pee bottles that are all along the side of the road, and they have their plastic bags with their poo in them and throw down, and that's awful. It wasn't like that before they came in.
What area
So,
did you say that was?
oh,
The
that
TA?
TA.
Okay.
That's just some of it. There's alcohol bottles, there's Taco Bell bottles, bags, there's all kinds of crap out there.
So what we do when we go on walks is we'll pick up garbage.
There's too much.
Depends how often you walk, I guess.
And I'm not either. No way.
So I want to thank the sheriff's office for being here. I do want to say that the Board of Supervisors office, we've worked in partnership with the sheriff to do a new Mohave Valley substation. We just did the Townsend City substation, and you all better best believe that I'm like, okay, next is we're doing a substation up here in Beaver Dam. So sheriff knows that that's a request, and we're gonna start working on that.
Just a comment to, one of the reasons why we don't have a lot of crime out here in this area. Looking around the room, I know some of us are heavily armed, not today, and not here. Oh, point taken by the group. And I am a firm backer of the blue. Always have been. I've actually been a public safety board of supervisor chairman in my former town that I lived in, Highland, Utah. I want you to know that I'm there for your guys, but I also need to know, are they aware of the situation out here, especially scenic where I live? Is there anything that we can do, not to help them, we don't want to be deputized, I don't, but is there, or do your deputies have concerns that we can put aside, because I'm always on defense, never offense. That's what I'm armed for. I protect my family, my property, me, and my beliefs. But is that a problem for your guys out here as they drive around? We see them occasionally in their SUVs that go around.
Is there a problem with you guys being armed, or?
Interacting with citizens that I'm sure you have to know we're armed. Is that a problem, or is it?
Absolutely not. That's your God-given right.
That's all I need to know.
And that's your Second Amendment right. And,
Right.
And the sheriff is all for that.
I agree with that, but like I said, I've been over police, fire, and paramedics. I listened to their concerns, and I just wanted to know if
The
you
only
had that.
concern, and I don't wanna speak for the sheriff, but the only concern the sheriff I've ever heard him be concerned about is make sure you know how to use it.
Yeah.
And make sure you know when to use it. And that's the only thing.
Sure.
Because it could also be used against you. I have a missing finger to prove.
Wow.
So make sure that obviously you're trained in it, you know when to use it and how to use it, and we encourage it. I mean,
That's good.
that's the nice thing about America, and that's the nice thing about Arizona.
Amen.
So,
That's all I needed to know
Sure.
from you, is that your guys would feel okay.
absolutely.
Getting out here and doing what they need to do. 'Cause I know
Absolutely.
that there's some people that may not like the sheriff. I love the blue, I do.
Sure.
But, okay, if everything's good, then
Absolutely,
that's all I need.
100% we support
All I
that.
need to know.
It's the people that we don't know, that, you know what I'm saying, that don't tell us they have a gun, that's the people we work with.
Okay, so, yeah.
We got one more question over here.
Actually, that's not a question. Well, I guess it is. I'm asking you to use your influence. So I know ADOT's not here. Is the stupid four-way stop bullshit down here? Coming off the interstate, that stop sign looks like it's for the left or the right turn lane into Maverick, and I got behind a tanker the other day, and he never even touched his damn brakes. It blew up that interstate. Somebody's gonna get killed there, and your guys are gonna have to scrape the shit off.
And Director Letowski can touch on that, I know it's being addressed, and he can touch on that, at some point.
If I may, I made a personal trip up here last Saturday. I directed the developer to change that. It's changed right now. As soon as you drive out there,
For a signal light there, or are we gonna just do four-way stop there?
Wait till somebody gets killed.
Yeah.
Well, it needs to be labeled as a
Professional
four-way
consulting
stop.
engineer,
It's
professional
Did
engineer,
they finally
I
put
think
it
they
on?
recently put
performed
all the way.
a traffic
It needs to
engineering
be a
study.
bigger sign too.
The traffic intersection does not warrant a traffic signal based on their projections, but an always stop is necessary based on what they're projecting for the map. We'll obviously monitor the traffic volumes as the Maverick opens and see what needs to come. Personally, I'm opposed to a traffic signal, but but let's see what the traffic volume is.
We gotta do
I'll tell you
something.
what,
Last night,
people could
I
use
got
that
a
signal
meeting
more
with
than
Steve,
before we stop.
and there was a damn car that zipped through that 40 miles an hour.
I just want to express, literally 2 hours ago, the traffic signs have been moved. There's
Yes.
full view now of approaching traffic on both
They're
corners.
too small.
No, they changed them this morning.
They
Oh,
changed
the
what
change
it
they made
said.
them bigger?
But they did not like, if you go up from here, and now turn right on Ring Cross, you have a stop sign back there, which is this morning, and it says yield. When you stop and you yield, to go forward, people don't let go. They have a real story.
Would you all mind if we just continue through the agenda and don't get, when we get to Steve's part, we can have all these questions?
Somebody else could have that.
So good. Stop in front of those areas that you're supposed to stop. Just paint it on the road. Straight right back out there. You're gonna come back.
We need to sign it in place. We need to sign it in place.
I wanna make a statement to the sheriff.
Okay.
I wanna tell you, we have some damn good deputies out here, and, they're not only. And they are people that you can sit and talk to, and, the only thing we need out here is just a few more.
Sure. And I appreciate that comment, sir, and I will tell you, as their commander, as of a couple of months ago, I was transferred to the Detective Bureau. So I was their patrol commander up in this area, and I absolutely loved it. As a matter of fact, my wife and I loved it so much, I brought my wife up here so we could participate in the Colorado City 4th of July parade, because I'm just overwhelmed at the support you give my people, and we appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to say you're absolutely right. I just had a meeting with the Mohave County Deputies Association. When I ran this second time, I was the only person that ran for county supervisor in Mohave County, and all of the districts actually got an endorsement from the Mohave County Deputies Association, because what I say lines up with what I do when it comes to support of our law enforcement, absolutely, and it always will. Their primary concerns are staffing and pay. And I get it. We just have to find a way at Mohave County to fund what needs to be funded, right? Law and order is always going to be top in my book. Going back to the fiscal conservative comments, Mohave County's primary property tax rate is what it was 20 years ago. Try to find that somewhere else in the county. The downside is we really have to struggle with, those types of expenditures. So we have to find a way to hire more deputies, to pay them what we need to pay them so they can stay. But I think that if you talk to them, they're happy with the culture that has been fostered by the sheriff. And I mean, we have a really great sheriff's department, and I'm thankful to work with them. We continue to work.
What's the count now? Is it still 5 out here?
There is 6 and.
Six and
sorry.
six sworn deputies, one animal control officer who doubles as a detention officer, one full-time detention officer, and we have one more in the transfer portal to come up. Just waiting on his family situation to be resolved, and that will be full, and we'll have 7 total, including myself as a supervisor.
More than there was like 4 years
That's
ago.
better, correct?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, the situation with the areas is they offer an officer per, percentage of, or one officer per how many people, how many residents. And the problem is we cover 5,500 square miles up here with very few residents. So the geography, is obviously an obstacle for us, but we already have more than is normal for an area based on its population. It's just a matter of covering the ground, which they do a fantastic job of. Like you said, they bring up resources in when needed. Anytime it gets beyond us, Mesquite comes and helps out, Washington County helps out, Highway Patrol helps out. If we need, they send up, they've never hesitated to send people up from Kingman before, like accident teams or detectives or anybody we need for help with bigger projects or more direct projects.
Well, I think your response time to problems is fabulous. And I, as a resident, really appreciate that if I'm gonna be in an accident, somebody's gonna get to me and help me fast. So I think you guys do a great job. I mean, the amount of accidents up coming through the gorge and going down to Vegas is definitely increasing, so.
got a
It's
strong,
nice to know.
strong relationship and partnership with the sheriff, and
Yeah,
I just
it's-
wanna,
it's
really
really
all
nice.
join me in thanking every single one of our deputies and With that, we're gonna move on. We've got Mike Smith, who's the Director of Community Services. If you wanna run through whatever information you have, and then we'll move to Melissa Palmer.
Michael Smith, Director of Community Services. So I have two different divisions within community service. I have the housing division as well as the workforce division. The workforce division is the one I really want to tout and speak on. That board actually helps the local community with workforce development. The workforce development actually identified 4 different sectors in demand, and we're really focusing on those areas to make sure that we can upscale the local community and provide those opportunities. If you're a business owner and you're looking for support in regards to that, we can place people, if you have people from the community that need an internship or just really want an experience, right? We can facilitate that and pay for that through my department. If you want somebody for an on-the-job training, maybe there's someone that's looking at firefighting, or they're looking at maybe doing construction and you have a business, we will pay up to $7,000 for 6 months at 50% of those wages, right? And all you have to do is contact and reach out to our department. All of our services are here listed in the package that I received, and you can also do that there. We also have the CDBG part in our program as well. So if you know somebody that may be a widow or has trouble maintaining their home, they can apply to the county and to our programs. We can go through there. One of the things with our program as well, when we looked at that, 69% of the people that were on our housing program have disabilities and would probably be on the street or not having services provided to them. So those are some of the areas that we focus on. One of the other areas I wanted to touch on is the continuum of care. The continuum of care is a program within the county that's really looking at, making sure that there's functional zero homelessness. And what does that mean? So anybody who doesn't want to be homeless, we want to make sure they have the resources and the training, so forth and so on to do that. So if there's somebody local that has community involvement or would like more information on that, we can provide that as well. Another program that came out of that, out of the continuum of care within my department, that's for the overall of the county, would be our Atlas platform. Our Atlas platform, you're going to hear a lot in the news now. Like, what are the outcomes? What are people doing? Show me what you're doing. How is this working? So part of what we're doing with our Atlas system is it's an electronic system, right? So somebody comes in for employment, and we get them a job, or we get them training. So people talk about MCC. How is MCC benefiting you? If you in the local area said, I need a training for this, right? You could contact your local workforce board. We would develop that training, and if there was a business, we would pay, if they had been with you for 6 months, we would pay for half of that training for your community to be able to have that opportunity. So if there was something unique that came here, and said, we want to do this, you could reach out to us and we can make that happen. But the thing that we're doing that's not being done anywhere else in the state, all of our services, you can do online. So if you want our services, you can register online, we can go on the programs online. That's not being done anywhere in the state except Mohave County. We're really proud of being able to do that. The other thing, going back to the credentials, we're also making sure after somebody goes through training, we check their wages at the first quarter, second quarter, and then fourth quarter to know that are they actually using that credential that we trained them on. So these are things that you're going to hear about in the federal government coming through the Trump organization and DOJ. You're going to see these things that they're actually asking for this data. Mohave County will be able to provide that data at a high level and do that. And one of the other things talking about police officers, a lot of people aren't aware of this, but out of our program, we supported, I believe, there's over 20 police officers in the training to go to school to become police officers. So we do a lot of different things within the community as an ongoing basis for workforce. And you said, why am I telling this group? You'd be amazed. The senior citizen population is really, when you look at the LMI market information, you guys are holding more jobs than some of the youth demographics and if you start going through there. And why is that? Because you're going to show up, you're going to be on time. Right? I know this is a retirement community, but I'm just addressing the people in the room as we see it and we talk those things through. So with that being said, it's a pleasure to serve you. If you're interested in any of the services that I outlay, please feel free to reach out. There's business cards in here. And we're always looking for people that want to participate in those work groups. And you can do that remotely, right? So if you want to Zoom in, all of our meetings are online as well, so you'll have that ability. And I'll take any questions.
As school board president for City of Mohave, can high school seniors get job placement they're not going to trade school, or they need help with the trade school?
Great question. So let me give you an example of another thing that we rolled out. So one of the other things that we rolled out in the department is our interplay, right? Interplay and the, so when kids are in high school and say, I wanna figure out what I wanna do, we can bring them in, we can put them at a computer, they can go through the whole platform in the program, and then find out what they wanna do. And then let's say they wanna do construction, but I've never done construction. There's things within the platform, right, that they can enroll in and learn those experiences. So in regards to your question, could we support high school students that want to get a job in construction? When they get to 18, yes, we can do that after they graduate, or they reach 18. We can provide that service and that opportunity.
18 to break over.
Well, it's 18 if we're going to do it on the job training, right? If we're going to do a work experience, it can go down to 16. So there's some different things, but there's just, they're technicalities. What I always tell people is when you're interested, reach out to the department and they'll evaluate those questions.
There's another avenue that we can use in placement of our graduating students. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I would just note is that we also, we do go up to Colorado City. I know that's not here. We do go to Colorado City, so we serve all of Mohave County. So if there is a need here, as community services, we would come to your community and provide services. We just have to have those things out there for us to have that community contact and work with the community when we can.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Michael. We're going to move to Melissa Palmer, our Director of Public Health. Thank you for being here with us today.
Absolutely, I'm happy to be here, and it's still morning, so I can say good morning. Again, I'm thrilled with the turnout and getting to meet everybody here, so thank you for coming. We have a couple of opportunities. I'm going to start with the opportunities, and then I'm going to move to the updates. So for Beaver Dam Littlefield, the schools here, we used to have points of contact so that we could go in and we could do tobacco prevention with the kids. We used to be able to do a lot of our programs for the kids. If anyone can provide me with the contact information of a champion, so that way we can get back in contact, get back into the schools, and provide those opportunities for the schools, I would greatly appreciate it. The other item is if you have a community champion that's interested in health. We had a community health needs assessment within the last year. We tried to have a focus group within this area, and we didn't have anybody that signed up for the focus group. So we would love to learn more about how we can include the community in the future community health needs assessment. So please let me know if you want to be that contact person, or if you know somebody within the community that can do that. Building on the community health needs assessment, out of that comes the community health improvement plan. Part of the community health improvement plan for this upcoming year is access to healthcare. So if you believe access to healthcare is a group that you want to join so that we can address the issues of being able to obtain medical services within the community, you can either talk to me or Danny Lagana in the back, and we have business cards with you that you can definitely grab on the way out. We also brought naloxone, also known as Narcan. Anybody who has a prescription for opioid medication, we like to have them have it within their home to help prevent any accidental overdoses. So again, that's in the back with Danny. You can take it with you. And the health department is the county-wide distributor for that. So at any time you can contact our offices and we can make sure to get it sent to you or to a loved one, family member. I made sure my parents had it in their home. Tobacco cessation and tobacco prevention, we have that for the schools, but we also have opportunities if there's somebody that you know that would like to quit smoking. We have that information in the back. And then we also have opportunities to do adult and youth mental health first aid. Again, the youth mental health first aid would be for the schools or anybody working with youth. So if that's you, we only need 5 to do a class, 5 or more, and we can do it either online or in person. Suicide mortality review team, we do have a suicide mortality review. What that team does is they review any deaths from suicide to provide recommendations of prevention measures to prevent future deaths. And if that's something you want to be a part of, we do have an opportunity to attend virtually
talk to me or again, someone in the back. The last item, which is the update piece. Currently, environmental health is under my department. We are functioning with the 2009 food code. So any of the permitted establishments, they have to meet standards that were set in 2009. Things have changed a lot since then. There's been several versions of that food code that has been issued. We are looking to update to the 2017 food code. We want to provide an opportunity, a town hall in the area, so that way we can get feedback. You all can receive information, you can provide feedback to us as we're working through that process. It is quite a lengthy process, and we want to get community feedback before we move to the Board of Supervisors, who is the ultimate decision maker in this. But we want to make sure we have a solid plan in place that the entire county, those that live, work, and play within the county are comfortable with. So if you are interested in those town halls, Tara Stanek is my environmental health manager. Her business card is in the back, but you can also feel free to contact me. And we currently have about 20 permitted establishments within Beaver Dam, Littlefield, Scenic that would fall under this new food code if it was adopted. So that's what I have. Yes.
Question. What are the chances of working with, the clinic? It's a government funded, but, through the Canyon Land Health Clinic on some of the stuff you're talking about. And that, a lot of people do go over there for their primary care and that. And I'm just wondering if there's a chance being in the government, also government, funded program about, working with them and some of the stuff that you may be able to put in place for over here or maybe they, between the two of them, have advocate over there or something.
Absolutely.
And, so that was something that was, when you were starting to talk about, well, we've got that clinic over there and there's dental clinic over there, and so maybe between two of Canyon Edge and that, maybe the county, you'd be able to fund full-time advocate over there that would be available to all of us here to talk, you all go in and talk to.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
So that's what, so that's it. And then from there, they need more specialized assistance. They'll know how to direct them and where to go for them to be able to get it.
Get the resources. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that.
I don't know if everybody's aware of this, but when you file your taxes, if you file them in Arizona and you owe the state money, you can actually donate that money to the clinic or to the schools instead of to the state.
Yep.
I think it's 800 and
For
400.
couples, I think it's 800 for couples and 400 for individuals, unless they change that. Yep, thank you. Okay, well, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Just a point on what Melissa shared about the update to the food code. As a county supervisor, it's really important to me that those that are involved with food preparation and anytime we're going to be changing or updating guidelines for that kind of stuff, it's important to have community input. So I would just ask that if you know anybody that owns restaurants or somebody that would fall into that they are put in contact and they look at those proposed changes and that I'm informed that it's going to be something that's going to work for you guys before I vote. So
Right now, Arizona House Bill 2162 that passed the House is putting even tougher restrictions on food prep for school. It is going to ultimately cost us more money. We already are in the hole $9 grand, people not paying for their kids' lunches. and we're not to the end of the year yet.
Yeah.
Kids are throwing away more food than they're eating. And if you go to what this House Bill 2162 wants, you're gonna end up with more stuff being thrown in the trash and less getting eaten, and the cost is gonna go up. So we're, as a rural school district, we're limited on our funds anyway, and now it's gonna get worse. I'm hoping the Senate dumps it and says, no, we're not gonna do this, but who knows, in this day and age. And I know that RFK Junior got a hand in some of this, so I'm coming to you for help, possibly, so that we can feed our kids properly and reduce the amount that's being thrown away. I suggested raising hogs, and then there's your 2 buckets of food.
Well,
And then
starting
sell
out-
hogs at county fair, but
There you go, starting out.
yeah, they didn't follow that. So,
We can chat after, I'm more than happy to discuss the yes, absolutely.
okay.
Appreciate it. We're gonna move now to Director Toski, our Public Works Director.
Thank you very much, Chairman
Absolutely.
Lingenfelter. 90 seconds, I'll keep it super short. First, most of you drive, what, about 12,000 miles a year, give or take. Your contribution to the maintenance of over 2,100 miles of Mohave County roadways countywide is about 86 cents a year. That's your contribution. Not a single penny of your county property tax goes to the maintenance of Mohave County roads. It's all funded by the Highway User Revenue Fund, which is derived from the state gas tax. And by the way, that 86 cents has been constant for the last 34 years. So that's where we stand on county road funding and county maintenance. This community, and I also want to express for scenic as well, this community is too important not to have a reliable alternate route to Mesquite. You've all been through the Virgin River Bridge reconstruction, rehabilitation, if you will, that's caused tremendous backups, especially on these Friday afternoons, et cetera. You need a reliable alternate route. Well, Public Works just recently completed, through a consultant, about a $300,000 study to reinforce and strengthen the old San Paulo historic bridge, built in 1929. That has enabled us to apply, and right now our application's in processing for over $3 million to actually perform the construction and strengthening of that bridge. I've seen it firsthand. I've literally stand next to that bridge when 18-wheelers have come across it. We have it posted, but nonetheless, we see the truckers come through. The last thing we could, it would be just frightful if something were to happen to that bridge. So that's in the works. We hope to hit a little more by this spring or so as far as the results of our grant application. Certainly we'll keep you posted on that. And that's all I have.
Let me ask you, why would you reconstruct that narrow bridge rather than going just above that and putting big culverts like under the freeway and go straight across and bypass that bridge?
Cost prohibitive, and just having to work with our friends at the Bureau of Land Management, the logistics with that would be immense and plus cost prohibitive.
The most dangerous thing of that bridge, to me, is people do not want to pass on it because it is so narrow. So one way or the other, the cars are stopping. Both ways, you're coming around a turn with a short visual, and it's dangerous.
We recognize it was a 1929 design, but this was literally the only option for us. But we definitely want to make it more resilient.
Well, I'm saying
And we will make it more resilient with the grant.
Just comment on that bridge. How many, these new bridges, how many times have they resurfaced, redone them? That bridge has been there, I'm 75 years old and it was there when I was born. It's a better bridge than what you've got through the freeway.
Thank you. And in defense of my colleagues at ADOT, the immense truckloads and everything on I-15 through the Virgin River Gorge is many magnitudes more than San Hollow. And our guys do a great job of keeping it up.
Right.
back to
Walter Lake, rancher and farmer. My concern is, there's always been a cattle guard on this side of the freeway, to prevent any livestock from getting right on I-15. And, like there is on the Littlefield side.
Yes.
Currently. And it's been gone maybe the last 15 years or something. And I was just hoping with all the new construction there, maybe we could get Maverick to pay for it even, I don't know. To get one back there, cause that would be a disaster if, my cattle never gotten out, but if they did, they could get right on I-15.
Yeah, I know what you're speaking of. That would be within the confines of the, gate out.
Yeah. Sure. Going back to the four-way stop up here, can we at least get stop written at the end of each one of those lanes? Cause I know they got the stop signs there, but they're just not adequate to address people's issues like.
But the stop bar itself will largely, that is actually the technique by which, is more of a standardized approach to, advise of exactly where to stop. And the stop sign is literally right next to that stop bar now.
It's got a, line across there, right? Means stop light. It just isn't clear. My wife and I just went through there yesterday and we're going, well, does this mean stop here or does it mean stop in this lane?
The stop line, the actual stop bar is definitely the,
So can we get,
where you
just stop there so when you get there, hey, it's talking about me.
Have they changed the law? Stop behind the stop sign. These out here, you stop 20 feet, 2 car lengths. Past the stop sign.
that's what the stop line, the stop bar should be is going where to stop.
Is this a law still state that you stop at stop sign, not 2 car lengths ahead of it?
I can't speak to the law specifically, but right now the stop sign has been relocated exactly adjacent to the stop line.
You have to
It is
come
right
up
there,
there.
Carol.
The stop line isn't adequate. Let's just leave it. It's not adequate.
That's
Let's
a
say stop.
standard practice.
Can we get a yes or no answer? Can we get stop there?
I'm not comfortable with placing just stop there because motorists have to engage in the action of stopping well ahead of that. So what I wanna see is, I wanna see the stop sign in the proper place, and it was just moved there, literally a couple hours ago. I need the stop sign in the proper place, so drivers can connect with the stop sign and engage in a stopping action well ahead of wherever a stop, label would be. And we really believe it's standard practice that stop bar will be adequate, to provide guidance of exactly where the stop.
We're all here, it's not. That's why we need to paint stop on there.
They're standard signs. They're standard signs. They are not.
Yeah, I have one more follow-up. Is there gonna be some review in a short period of time to determine if that's adequate or not? Cause like when the other gentleman said, somebody's gonna get hurt there.
That's a very
We don't
intelligent
wanna wait
question.
that long.
So I wanna explain that. We're a reviewing agency, and a registered professional engineer, a consulting engineer, put together an extensive traffic study, had to predict traffic volumes. That's all we can work with. We can only predict, not we, but the professional traffic engineer predicted the traffic volumes from Maverick, had the actual traffic volumes from TA, because that was largely opening, if you will. Has determined that this is the configuration that should serve adequately and provide for, convenient operations of the intersection with Maverick Open. Public Works, of course, will monitor this. We will monitor as we go forward to ensure that if the traffic volumes vary higher or even lower on the Maverick side, that, perhaps we will look at adjustments if they need to happen.
That's based on traffic count data?
Yes, based on traffic count data, yes.
Quick question. How do we get fire hydrants in this town?
That would probably be a question for your fire district.
I talked to fire district, because we have nothing to do with it.
Mohave County does operate water systems, but not in this community, so it's gonna be a question for, your water district, your water district.
Can I say something to that? Fire districts, are owned by the subdivision. The problem we've had is there's no, not been any regulation until just recently. So the subdivisions do not put them in. So if you want fire hydrants, it comes back to the citizens. And you got the same thing, trouble with that as you have with the roadway. Nobody wants to pay for it.
Well, the thing that I found out because I was told by the fire department, check with the water company. Well, when I called the water company, they said, that's not our problem.
That's
We're
right.
a water supplier, we are not a water company.
That's correct.
I said, but we have up on Jones Flats, we have a water company storage tank, we have one hydrant halfway to the TA. And with the wind, I don't know if you were here, like 4 or 5 years ago, when it took down, that windstorm took down all the poles. When we lose power in Jones Flats, we have no water. I called the water company and said, why don't you have an emergency generator? Because we just saw what happened to Pacific Palisades in California. I said, with our winds, one fire, there won't be a Jones Flats. But I can't get anybody to, resolve the issue. So when I talked to the fire chief last month, I said, you know what? I live in a county, not in this state, where I was in a rural area. They made me put in a 3,500 gallon water storage tank strictly for fire protection. So that's what I'm gonna do. It's gonna be a little expensive, but I was at State Farm Insurance 2 days ago, and there were a couple in there that bought in Jones Flats who can't get fire insurance. There's no fire protection. So it's kind of a catch-22. So, it's
Another point.
It was subdivided in 1929. They didn't know anything about fire hydrants.
The fire district, within the last 2 years, went through a study for the fire insurance ratings. And anybody in the district is rated as a number 6, which is a pretty good rating. And they got that because they have tankers to supply water to a fire. That's the only thing that we can fall back on.
Yes.
Because we have places where we can fill up, and we've got the tanker to keep those engines in water.
By that time,
But that's
it's too late.
that's a big problem, is
Yeah.
there's no fire.
Because I look at it, I told the chief, I said, when you get up to Jones Flats, you change your fire department motto to another foundation saying.
Yeah.
If it isn't for the neighbors shooting water for those 3 fires a couple of years ago, the whole place is dry.
Like a friend of mine in Mesquite years ago was the fire chief down there, and he says, well, there's one thing I can say, for every structural fire we had, we were able to save the lot.
You know what, you did a good job.
Okay, appreciate that. Oh, what? Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I just wanted to say one thing. For the people of Jones Flat, no matter if you own, if you rent, if you have an RV, if you're full-time or part-time, you cannot afford to lose that right of way. You lose that right of way, you're down to 12 feet?
Yeah.
You can't pass a truck. Try passing the dually when it's coming towards you. It just won't work. So get together, figure it out, and save your right of way.
Appreciate that comment. What I would say is, a lot of these issues that happened ages ago when this place was developed, it's very difficult to come in after the fact and fix these problems. I mean, really the only 2 options we have from a county perspective is a group of citizens band together and they do some sort of a special district or improvement to put the hydrants in, or and we're going to get into Scott Holtree, who's our Director of Development Services. If you have a developer that comes in and they want to come in with new development, there are certain exactions that we can, from the county, require as part of their development. And within our codes, you have to have so many fire hydrants, spaced out a certain way. We'll let Scott talk about those things, but those are really the only 2 opportunities.
It's only been 95 years, but development's been up there and
Right.
nothing's happened.
Yeah.
I guess we could wait another 100 years.
So with that, I'm sorry, do we have one more question?
To comment for the right of way, please look for me after the meeting. I'm the one that's gonna be collecting the signatures.
Oh, great.
Just look for me. You live up
Terrific.
on Jones Flat, look for me. Or talk to
Thank
me,
you.
please. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I just did have a question / comment as far as those stop signs. You said that an engineer
Yes.
designed the way that it needed the stop signs.
That's correct.
Is there a possibility possibility that sometimes, we can miscalculate things? Cause I mean, I know I'm not as aged as, some of the people that live here, but since I can remember, there's never been stop signs there and nobody's had any issues. Of course, there's new gas stations that are getting put in that could cause issues, but, maybe adding the flashing lights to the signs, I've seen with the solar as a possibility, if we can't just eliminate them in general, cause, they put stop signs on both sides of the highway, which I think is a little excessive. When I first realized that they were there, I drove by them, and not realizing that there was a stop sign there, and once I realized and I decided to follow the law, unintentionally passing, like I said, other people were passing them as well, and I worried for my safety and my mother-in-law's safety, that she drives through there every single day. And, like I mentioned, it could be, in my opinion, a mistake, a miscalculation that it's necessary to have the stop sign there.
No, that's. May I ask you, he raised, can I answer his question?
Out there. Yes. If you come into Arizona, there's a flashing light, you're going one miles per hour, over 55. The lights will flash, I'm telling you.
Director
We
Levesque,
didn't have the same thing out here.
answer his question,
Well, you raise a very important question, but the professional engineer that recommended this intersection configuration, as well as White, you notice that there's right turn lanes.
I know what
Has taken into consideration the anticipated or forecast traffic from Maverick. Maverick isn't open.
Right.
So I cannot address your question fully until we see what level of traffic Maverick does. Now, the question is, will it be the level of traffic that the engineer forecasts? And I will say, traffic engineers, and I'm one myself, there is engineering best practices applied to forecasting traffic.
They didn't live here. It's wrong. That's what we're trying to get at.
Well, again, I have to wait.
If you have an officer sit there for 10 minutes, you're gonna get 5 people get a ticket. That's how bad it is.
Well, the stop signs have been relocated about 2 hours ago, and that is going to, it actually has brought the intersection back to standard. There's standards by which these intersections need to be laid out. It wasn't laid out to standard. That's why I personally came up here on my own time last Saturday. I flagged it. And now
Somebody's
it's
gonna get killed right there.
Steve, if I could, I think the way forward with this is a combination. So obviously, we have this traffic engineer, part of this development group, they gave their best estimates on data. It's gonna be monitored after everything opens there by our staff, to see if they got it right or not. If they got it wrong, we're gonna change it to what it needs to be. At the same time, we have the sheriff's office here, perhaps there's a way that we could, have a deputy just to sit there and make sure that people are familiar with what's there now.
They can make their
until
money
it's
real
changed.
fast. A little more enforcement would help a lot.
Yeah, I think a combination of these things, I mean, it's gonna get worked out. Thank you, yes.
Yeah, we have addressed it.
You have.
We don't agree with the way the signs were laid out, two things. We don't agree with the way the signs were laid out initially either, but nobody in this room, including me, as Steve's pointed out several times, has seen the new placement of the signs. So we can't argue where they're at because we haven't seen where they're at now. We disagreed too, but we beat a dead horse in this room about where the signs were. Nobody's seen where they are now. Give us a chance. We have done it before.
You have to drive over here to see
And not
them.
written a single ticket because we understand the placement of the signs is a little off. So we were bringing awareness to the signs for days at a time now. And not written a single ticket, just advise, put our flashing lights on, let people know there's a traffic change. We've written letters ourselves, made sure signs were up saying traffic change ahead. If you remember, the first day they went up, nobody knew what was happening, including us. One of my deputies responded and had them immediately taken down, like because they were up without warning. So we're aware, we're taking action, and we're communicating with Steve on what we think is best practice for what we witness, and we are enforcing without writing citations. We're not feeding any coffers just yet, because there is a learning curve, obviously. But I think more importantly is it's been said at least a dozen times that no one's happy where the signs are at, but no one in this room has gone out and seen where the signs are now, including myself. So we can't comment on that we don't know, we're not happy with where the signs are at when nobody knows where the signs are at currently.
Yeah, we've got clear lines of communication, between the sheriff's office and myself. So just keep me informed too, I mean, as far as how you think the new placement and everything works, so we can just do the best we possibly can.
Nobody needs tickets, but if they pull them over and remind them, they will get caught in what's going on for flashback.
Do like bag boy only, park the cop car, let out, still let it.
Maybe I can make one suggestion. Maybe I can make one suggestion.
Sir, go ahead.
Why don't we get some,
Car comes up on the
We have one person talk at a time.
I know what they did, somebody came along, but
why don't we go ahead and start enforcing that, and the money that is collected from the fines, use that money to get the stop signs with flashing lights.
Alright, yeah, alright.
Is that an option? You know, not necessarily collecting the fines and doing that, but with the studies being done, can you go above and beyond those and put up a flashing stop sign, kind of like they have on the 55? Just because it's so new, and really people are blowing it left and right. How about that?
Well, even the semis are
And so
blowing it coming
even
down.
if we had a flashing light above it or before it, something, maybe to get them out of their phone or whatever they're doing, they would see it and maybe it might prevent something in the
As the
future.
supervisor, I'll tell you that, after everything opens, I'm gonna stay close to Steve, and if we monitor it and some other things happen, there's been some other areas. I'll give you an example. So, below the canyon, there's an area called Val Vista, another retirement area community that, we had a community meeting, we took some measurements, and we actually put up some flashing signs on a curve. So, I'm always looking for those opportunities, but let's get it open and see how the traffic actually flows, and if we have to do something else, I'm pretty good at working outside the lines and advocating for something like that. So, I think that, plus, we have our sheriff's office here, and it sounds like they're doing their level best to remind people of the traffic rules and changes, all that good stuff. I think we'll get through it together, just be careful. With that, we have our last speaker. I don't wanna say, maybe best for last. We're tie and everything.
Just real quick, a little rundown of what Development Services is. We are over flood control, environmental quality, so all your septic systems, building and permitting, code enforcement, and planning and zoning. And I just wanted to touch on a few things. I didn't want to take a whole lot of time, but like Supervisor Lingenfelter mentioned before, we do have now electronic submittal for all of your permitting. It's been a long time coming. We've actually been doing it for a little bit of time now, but and our staff that comes up here and staffs this office has been trying to inform any of the builders that come in, hey, we got online up and running. So you can now submit your permit online. Even if you don't know how to do it, give us a call. I have a stack of business cards. You can give me a call, and we'll walk you through the process for applying a permit online. You don't have to bring in any papers. Everything's handled electronically through email, and we can process your permit through that electronic submittal. Just to kind of touch, I know we had a question about your manufactured home. One change that has recently happened is the state has taken over our manufactured home permits. It's not something that we wanted. We tried to fight for it. We tried to do everything that we could to keep it. And they're under right now they want to control any manufactured home permits. So any manufactured home permits do have to go through the state, and so that is a separate and different process than through the county. There is a portion of it that comes through the county, but most of it is through the state. I don't know if that was...
Is that permitting or just inspection?
Permitting and inspection. So that's one hiccup that we've seen. We're still working to try to keep it with the county. It was with the county since 2014. And then recently the state came in and said, hey, we're taking it all over.
So it still has to go to the county for a permit and then send it to the state?
We just look at, the location and the zoning to make sure it's correct.
Why does that take 6 weeks?
So that's a good question. I wanted to bring up that we are getting quite a bit of, an influx of permits. So coming online, and in person, we're looking at about 4 to 6 weeks for permits. We are efficiently trying to look for solutions to continue to, whittle that down. One of the solutions is coming in a couple of months. One is our new permitting software that got approved by the Board of Supervisors. The permitting software that we're looking at is 100 times more efficient than what we're currently working with. Right now we're seeing delays almost on a daily basis. I just got 2 emails today that the permitting software was down for a few hours today. And it makes it very difficult for my staff to continue to process permits when we're dealing with the software that's not working. The new software should be a big fix, and we're looking for other ways that we can continually.
Will that allow you to handle 2 permits at the same time, septic and the building, or do we still have to wait 6 weeks for the septic and then before we can even apply for the other?
Yep, we currently can handle both permits at the exact same time.
Since when? This week?
No, we've always been able to do that, but both permitting.
We were told we had to wait on the building permit until the septic tank was final. We could not even.
Yeah, we can't move forward with it.
Couldn't even apply, they told us.
Okay, I'd have to, and here's the other thing I wanna make sure everybody's clear. I am gonna hand out a handful of cards. If you have questions or concerns that, about your permit, about a code enforcement case, about whatever it might be, one thing, I might not be good at a lot of things, but I am good at one thing is communication and responding. So I will give you my phone number and email, and if you send me an email, if you give me a phone call, I will personally look up your situation and make sure that it's taken care of.
12 weeks in permitting for my kids' house over here, between septic and that.
And I'd have to look, and if you give me your information, I can look into exactly what happened and where we need to maybe improve things, and I'd be happy to talk to you after the meeting with that as well. Before we get into questions, let me go real quick with a few other things. One thing that has improved as well is our staffing level at this office. We were up here once a month, now we're for 2 days, and then now we're here twice a month for the 2 days each. So it should be 4 days in this office that you'll be able to have access to one of my staff to answer questions, turn in permitting. You can still turn in permitting to them. They're also trying to help everybody learn how to apply online. With that as well, we do have our code enforcement team that comes out and inspects properties as far as any complaints that we receive. They were coming out on a month-and-a-half basis. We have moved that up, so now they're coming out monthly to come and review any complaints that we may have in this area. They are coming out this next week, so this following week they'll be coming out. Again, I'm gonna hand out my cards to anybody that wants to communicate with me. Also, I'll be sitting right here. We can sit down and go over any code enforcement cases that you have for the area. I'll be happy to sit down with you and go over or write those down so that when my team is out here next week, they can respond to any of those complaints. Last thing, I guess the question that was brought up about subdivisions. In subdivisions, we do require improvements, so anytime a new subdivision is coming into the county or to this area, they would be required to have those fire hydrants, depending on the size of the lots. If they're larger lots, it probably would be a little bit different, but any type of subdivision that comes in does have to have that infrastructure. Somebody brought up the question on whether or not they can continue to split the parcels. We like to zone them in a way that doesn't allow for that. They would not be able to split further than what the subdivision split them as. The current zoning on properties within the county or within this area should also be that way, where they're not able to split them without coming to a rezone first. Those rezones go before the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Board of Supervisors. We do have a list of contacts. If you want to be informed of any of those public hearings, we have a list of contacts. If you give me your email, we send those to that list of contacts every month. And you can look and see, we divide them up based on area, so anything that's up in this Arizona Strip area would be in a certain section. You can see any proposed rezones or special use permits that are for this area. And if you would like to make a comment on it, you can reach out to us, attend the meetings virtually or on in person, or just watch them on the YouTube channel. Those are all available. With that, I'll go ahead and answer some questions. I know we had a question over here.
I hope you're working on, one of the things we've always had trouble up here with is when you apply for a permit and get the first paperwork with what you need to do, you accomplish everything, send it in, and they send back that you have to do something else. You do that, complete it, send it in, they send back that you have to do something else. We need to get organized to where when you send it back, we know what we need to do to finish up the end. Because it just drags on and on and on.
Yeah, and so
Electronic, right?
yeah, so electronic review will help out with a lot of that communication back and forth. But one thing I'd also suggest, if you're looking to build anything and want to have like a pre-submittal meeting, we are open and happy to set that up. I can sit down with you, with my staff, and we can say, hey, this is what you're gonna need on your permit. And that will help hopefully reduce the amount of things corrections that are needed on your permit. And then again, my other comment is, give me a call. If you're seeing issues with something, let me know, and I can take a quick look at it, and we can try to get it resolved or fixed in the fastest manner possible. Yes, oh, sorry.
To set up a meeting, does that mean we have to
No,
drive the team in
absolutely.
there?
No.
We have online technology now, we have online meetings.
Yep. We could do a video conference or just on the phone, if you like, we can talk as well.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the beauty part of that online plan submittal, that's something that was important to me. District 1 is primarily rural, all of our communities. And I just didn't understand, you know, you have a development, you gotta spend over $1,000 on paper, you gotta mail them down, it came in, and then you gotta wait for them to get sorted, and it took a long time. And he rented this thing where, you know, if you don't have a completed submittal, then it's just turned into this huge production, right? So one of the main things, you know, time savings, cost savings of the electronic plan review is I believe that you won't be able to, you'll see right on the screen that your submittal is completed only after you submit all these different things. Is that correct?
So the new software that we're implementing, hopefully in, I think it's June, July-ish, it won't let you submit without having everything complete, essentially, all the necessary documents. That doesn't mean that your proposed drawings and everything is correct, but it does mean it won't let you submit unless everything is submitted that we need, I guess. Yeah, the current program that we're using isn't as robust. You can just submit everything that we require. We have a list of things that we require, and you submit it, and then we'll take a look, and if it's not complete, we'll contact you. But the new system will be a lot better.
Can I make one suggestion? Maybe hand your cards out in Kingman to the people that work there, because I've asked, who can I talk to? So, then I get passed up to somebody else, so maybe hand your cards out to your office.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, I think with that new system, all the red line comments are gonna be right there in one spot. All the departments that have to have a responsibility for reviewing different parts of the plan, they can all review their parts concurrently on the online system, so it's really hopefully save not only a lot of time, but some money as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Madam, you had a...
Yes, according to state and federal regulations, how often are septic tanks supposed to be inspected and cleaned and whatever?
So that's a little bit of a technical question that maybe I'm not as familiar with. I'm gonna take your question down, I can take it back to my, we have an environmental quality engineer that is responsible for those questions. I don't believe that there is a standard on when they're supposed to, or when they have to be inspected. Yeah, absolutely when they're sold. But I will take down your question, I will get all the information, I can get back to you if you give me your contact information. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
You said that you're in charge of zoning enforcement?
code enforcement, yes, absolutely.
I have spoken to Jamie and Taylor in zoning enforcement, and I've been told that there's been a change. If you were to report a suspected zoning violation, it used to be anonymous, and now it is not. And I was told that the commissioners did that. Is that something you folks did in Kingman?
I do think that came before our former board. You have to realize that I say that's one is five-member board, and I think what ruined it, the anonymous, was the COVID crisis, because we had a lot of people that were going around, or maybe not a lot of people, but a few people going around and anonymously complaining about restaurants and all these things, and it really rubbed a lot of the supervisors the wrong way, and so they got rid of the anonymous portion of the complaints, because they didn't want one or two people to be able to go around and shut down restaurants and gyms and all these types of things.
Yeah, that
I
doesn't
think that's
apply
right.
out here. The situation is, I heard one of my neighbors say this. She says, now that it's not anonymous, and I understand it has to be a public records request, and I've been through that system and it works. I mean, within about 10 days, I got a report that told me what was going on with a piece of property that I had concerns with. But now that you can access that public record, one of my neighbors says that puts a target on my back. And I agree that, I think, and maybe you can answer this, I think Jamie said we're getting too many complaints out here and seeing it. What's wrong with you people? And it's usually between October and May, and it's the RV people. We're getting a whole lot of what I would call illegal RV parks. I've read this pamphlet many times. You're allowed one. I'm okay with that, no problem. But when you bring your uncle and your niece and your friend and you have 8 on 1 acre, that's not
Yeah.
too common.
No, we've had an issue with enforcing that. We really have.
And what would be the way to solve that? We call you and you follow up. And I did get that public records request. And what they did is they come out and talk to people, and they did a nice job. We asked them not to do this, and something happened. They came back in the end of June or July, when it's 115 out here. Those people go away. They come from up north,
Right.
and I lived up north, and up north people are good people. But they're gone by the time, and it said case closed, no more RVs.
Situation resolved.
Of course they resolve.
Because they were gone.
They leave. So that is a problem I think we're having out in Scenic especially. I don't know how many other people from Scenic out here see that as an issue.
There's a lot of them.
One thing, like I mentioned at the beginning, my code enforcement team's gonna be up here on a monthly basis.
Okay.
So they should be able to regulate that, more frequently. The other thing is, we do have a lot more teeth than we used to have as far as code enforcement team. We currently are working with county attorneys on a daily basis on some of these code enforcement cases. Previously it would be, we send them a violation letter, they don't fix the problem, then we go to court criminally and then the judge would decide whether or not they get criminal charges. It doesn't necessarily fix blighted properties, open lot storage, or people that aren't just complying. Recently we have been able to go on the civil side of things and do abatements. So if they're not complying, we will go to court, and we actually just did an abatement up in this area a few weeks ago. That was successful, but we will go all the way through to what the court will allow us to do, either abate the property, or they'll have an injunction against the travel trailers, or whatever it might be. The court has more teeth to be able to enforce some of these situations. So that is something that's recent, that we've been able to have more teeth, I guess, with our code enforcement team.
Just one little follow-up for you on the commission.
Yes.
been a legislator in my town, I would have done it a little differently. I would have taken the complaints, logged the person's information, kept it private. But if that person kept doing these over and over again, I would write a law saying, you get fined for being capricious in here, you're ruining,
Sure.
you're causing us problems. So I would have done that a little differently.
Let me push back with a life hack. So there's that formal process, but there's also a process where you will just contact me directly and say, hey, we're having an issue with this, and then I can send an email to the director. That's another way.
I've emailed you a couple of times with no responses from your office. I have.
Well, let's talk.
It was right before the election. We figured that would be a
Okay, well, let's not rush. I mean, and I'm glad I'm glad for the conversation. I'm glad that Scott's here to hear these things with his own ears. I mean, he's the guy that deploys his staff to be where they need to be.
I'll be here next week on coming Monday. I think it's Tuesday.
Yeah, that's
so
a real issue though.
one thing I would say is if it's just a case or something that you guys want to talk to me personally, we can. I'll be here until you guys leave. So if it's not something for the whole group, then we can do that. Other than that, what do you?
Yeah, I really appreciate the meeting, and,
Yeah.
I live down behind and around
Okay.
down here, and we have a big issue at the bottom of the hill.
At the
going
top of
down.
the hill, at the side of the hill.
Oh, so I'm at the top.
Let's
I get to look at all that. Yeah.
let's talk after.
Okay.
Okay.
If you know of,
Yeah.
I know of a property out in Sadie that the buildings that are on there have been there for 20 years and they're all, none of them have been permitted or anything. Are they grandfathered into?
Prior to 2007, I believe
Yes.
this area was outside of the overlay zone.
Free
It
for all?
did not require building permits.
So there's nothing, so the buildings that are there that are trash.
So if they wanted to come, go get a bank loan or sell the property or whatever it might be.
But as far as the county goes, there's no code enforcement towards those.
I mean, we wouldn't go and enforce anything prior to 2007 for not having a building permit.
Okay.
Because they're
I'm trying to do something now though.
But we value it, just so you know.
But if
Just
they,
because we're not the permit police, he is,
But
but
if-
we value it.
if
know
they
that,
wanna
but-
sell the property or get a loan or something, they can come to us and we can do an amnesty permit. We'll do a run through of the property, and if there's some things that need to be maybe updated, we'll have to do that to get a permit if they want.
Well, we had an inspector come out and check, we were doing something with a well, and the inspector came out, the county came out, and they had no idea about what all that stuff was back that I'm talking about. And as far as you saying their value, when your inspectors don't know it's there, they don't know nothing about it. How is it being evaluated?
My appraisers, they show up and they measure it and they put it on the tax roll, so they're being
Okay,
taxed
all
on
right.
it. And we have planes that go over that actually.
I know you
pick up
got planes
that.
go over, I
Yeah.
got caught.
So we are valuing, we are valuing it, and, so they are getting taxed for all that.
Right.
Sir, you had a question?
Yeah, I just had a little bit of opposition. This is for the folks too. Just to remind everybody, this is a unincorporated community. And these people can't solve all your problems. There's a little bit of freedom involved with that. And a lot of times you gotta take care of yourself. And I'm just saying, if you give me more, it's more taxes, more government.
Move back to the city.
And you're gonna turn this into not what drew you here in the first place. So I just wanted to add that. These guys are doing a great job. I've seen more of them than my whole life in the last few years.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Scott, anything else?
That's all I had. Again, I'm gonna be here until you guys are all gone, so please come see me. I got a stack of cards and I'll take down any information that you wanna give me.
Thanks.
So that was our last speaker, but I just wanna say again, we can open it up to any other questions, any other topic that you might have. I wanna say thank you to all of you. I think, when I speak for all of us, when I say it's a pleasure to serve you up here.